Chapter 2376. Sun Ming came to the upper district of Limitless City with a clear purpose. He had promised to give Red Boy a chance to talk to him. Of course, he would do something. Just as Officer Ma and the others left the taxi company, Sun Ming stepped in with his heel. Sitting opposite him was a delicate boy. Yes, a delicate boy, but in fact, he was a 200-year-old tree demon. He had always been relying on absorbing the essence of young men and women to maintain his youth. This handsome boy was also one of the 4 heavenly kings under Thunder Emperor in the upper district of Limitless City. People called him Little Demon of the Black Mountain. Sun Ming usually called him Little Demon of the Black Mountain to save trouble. "I'm curious. Did this Gao Yang offend you, Mr. Sun?" At this time, Little Demon of the Black Mountain asked curiously. If so, with the good relationship between Limitless City and Mr. Sun, we will definitely punish him severely. The Elysium Bar of Fiery Cloud City was a gray area with red seedlings. In order to attract customers, the bar would provide customers with a lot of fun items. Most of these items were obtained in Limitless City. For a long time, the two sides had maintained a friendly cooperation. "Little Demon, you don't have to worry about this. It's just a private matter," Sun Ming said indifferently. "Of course, if I find out that there is no one behind this, then it's really just a private matter." The handsome boy chuckled. "Mr. Sun, we don't go out easily in Limitless City. What bad intentions can we have? This is just a place for a group of people who are in trouble to warm each other." Sun Ming picked his ear. The handsome boy seemed to be quite afraid of this action. He leaned back slightly and asked, "Mr. Sun, is there anything else besides looking for people this time? The purity of the goods last time was very high. Basically, it could be maintained at 95% purity." Sun Ming blew away the dust on his fingers. "I'm afraid there are only 5 people in the entire Blue City who can do this. It seems that the Infinite City has hired a very good chef." While speaking, Sun Ming leaned forward and stared into the handsome boy's eyes. He said with a smile, "Little Demon, when you eat delicious food in the restaurant, the chef will come out to accept the praise of the diners. Don't you plan to ask this chef to come out?" "What are you talking about?" The Little Demon of the Black Mountain chuckled and said, "He's not a new chef. He just changed some new tools recently and was lucky enough to buy some good quality raw materials. Speaking of which, the production of our chefs is starting to fall behind. We're still troubled. Maybe we need Mr. Sun's help to introduce us." Sun Ming laughed. "Aya, if I had such a good chef in my hands, I would have directly bypassed you and eaten up the market in Flaming Cloud City. Why would I ask you for goods? I would be cheated by you. Am I right?" This monkey's gaze was extremely aggressive, like a ferocious beast waiting for an opportunity to pounce. The Little Demon of the Black Mountain and Sun Ming looked at each other with a smile. But at this time, their subordinates were ready to fight. Suddenly, the Little Demon of the Black Mountain chuckled with a fake smile. Sun Ming continued to smile. They laughed for a while. Then the Little Demon of the Black Mountain Sun's phone rang. He said directly, "Mr. Sun, there is news. Do you need me to send someone to accompany you?" Sun Ming shrugged and said, "I am not familiar with the road in the lower area of the Infinite City. It's better to have someone accompany me." The Little Demon of the Black Mountain Sun turned his head slightly and looked at a young man behind him, saying calmly, "Renqing, you go with Mr. Sun. Remember, Mr. Sun is our big customer. You must meet his needs, understand?" "Got it, boss." The young man named Renqing nodded. At this time, Sun Ming stood up with a yawn and was about to leave. But before leaving, he suddenly turned back and asked, "Little Demon, hasn't your boss come out yet? He said that he would be going into seclusion for a very long time already. Could it be that he has already passed away while in seclusion?" The Little Demon of the Black Mountain Sun said calmly, "Don't worry, Mr. Sunday. If boss really dies, I will inform you immediately." Sun Ming didn't say anything. He just laughed and left. Boss, this Sun Ming is too arrogant. The little demon of the Black Mountain Sun was playing a deck of cards at this time. He chuckled and said, as one of the 5 candidates of the Crown Prince of Dojan in the Elysium world, he certainly has the right to be arrogant. If you have his background, you will be more arrogant than him. The subordinate didn't think so. He is just a candidate. And I heard that in the battle for the Crown Prince of Dojan, Sun Ming has been at a disadvantage. The senior management of the Elysium world doesn't seem to be optimistic about this guy. You don't understand. The little demon of the Black Mountain Sun shook his head. Sun Ming will definitely be the next Crown Prince of Dojan. Boss, do you know something? The little demon of the Black Mountain Sun suddenly looked at one of his trusted subordinates with a creepy smile. Ling Ren, why do you suddenly have so many questions today? Are you an undercover agent? Subordinate. The young man named Ling Ren opened his mouth in shock and his face changed slightly. I am kidding. The little demon of the Black Mountain Sun suddenly touched the young man's cheek with his hand. Look at you. You are sweating. Go and wash your face. How can you meet people like this? I will go right now. Ling Ren nodded. The little demon of the Black Mountain Sun continued to play with himself. West 5th Street, the lower level of the limitless city. The buildings here were connected together. One could almost touch the buildings with one hand. Above their heads, there were all kinds of twisted wires. From time to time, sparks would appear on the electric poles. It should be like this. Sir Ma 2.0 and his team stopped in front of a small building with 5 floors. According to the information given by Tank, the person named Gao Yang rented a small room on the 4th floor of this small building for a long time. They quickly went upstairs and came to the door of the target unit. The people in pale blue had high physical fitness. On one hand, it was because of the cultivation method given by the full name. On the other hand, it was because of the environment of pale blue. Just like in the subworld 003, the aura had started to recover, and some newborns' bodies had started to change. Moreover, the immortal civilization of pale blue had been around for thousands of years. Even without the various benefits brought by the cultivation method, Officer Ma's hearing was very good. At this time, he secretly used the cultivation method, and his hearing instantly improved by several times. There seems to be no one inside. He muttered, maybe he is not at home. When Red Boy heard this, he kicked the door open and walked into the rental house without saying a word. Officer Ma saw this and could only smile bitterly. As soon as they entered, they smelled an old smell. The only window did not have the curtain drawn, but the window was indeed closed. Even so, the floor of the room was covered with a thin layer of dust. Not only was there no one in the room now, there would be no one in the room for a long time. Red Boy's finger brushed across a simple table, and he frowned. What happened? Isn't this where Gao Yang lives? It seems that no one has lived here for at least a few months. Officer Ma, is there a mistake in the information given by Tank? Officer Ma frowned. If a Tank sold false information, his shop would not be able to survive in Limitless City. Let's look around first. However, this room only had one living room and one bedroom, so it could be seen clearly at a glance. Dr. Ma tried to turn on the switch of the light on the wall. After the light bulb flickered a few times, it finally lit up stubbornly. However, the faucet was rusty and not easy to turn on. Red Boy did not care about these details, so he directly kicked open the door of the only room in the room. Then, Red Boy frowned again. Gao Yang. Officer Ma and Dr. Ma quickly rushed over. In the room, only the screen of an old-fashioned computer placed in the corner lit up. On the screen, there was the real-time scene of West 5th Street outside. That person was now sitting in front of the computer, with half of his head exposed. No, there's no heartbeat. Officer Ma frowned, striding forward and turning the chair around. This is... On the chair, there was a skeleton without any flesh left. The clothes on the skeleton even had traces of being eaten by worms. At this moment, there was even a small cockroach resting in the eye sockets of the skeleton. So, it's a wasted trip. Or, it's not as simple as I thought. The voice that did not belong to Officer Ma, nor Dr. Mauve, nor Red Boy suddenly sounded. It was so abrupt. Dr. Ma was slightly surprised. She didn't even notice when there was someone behind her. Uncle. Red Boy widened his eyes in surprise. Why are you here? The one who appeared at the door was Sun Ming in a black jacket. He directly leaned against the door and whistled when he saw everyone. Good evening, Officer Ma. Sun Ming, you? Officer Ma couldn't help but frown. Follow me. You just said again? Sun Ming shrugged and said, I also went to the taxi company. Like you, I asked a friend in the limitless city for help, and then I found this place. Well, this is my friend. A shy young man slowly walked into the sight of everyone at this time, and said with a smile, Hello, everyone, my name is Ren Qing. I'm Mr. Sun's temporary guide. Ha! Dr. Ma opened her mouth. She had a feeling that somehow, Sun Ming's eyes seemed to fall on her intentionally or unintentionally. This pair of eyes? Both parties sat down in the only small living room of the rented house. Red Boy directly sat next to Sun Ming. Uncle, have you found anything? Sun Ming shook his head and said, At present, I don't know more than you. I just arrived here. Well, Red Boy nodded with a little disappointment. Officer Ma frowned and said, Mr. Sun, about the bones in the room. What do you think? Sun Ming said directly, This is the rented house of the Gao Yang, so the one who died here is either Gao Yang himself or someone else. According to the clues of the taxi company, a Gao Yang appeared last night. Gao Yang even appeared last night. All of this can only mean that the person who died in the room is someone else. It's not that simple. Officer Ma shook his head. No one has come to this house for a long time. Sun Ming said, according to the information, a Gao Yang has been renting this house for the past few years, and the rent has been paid on time every month, and the water and electricity have not been delayed. Officer Ma, is there any way to verify the identity of this set of bones? Old Fong? Officer Ma looked directly at Doctor of Methods. He was a little puzzled by Red Boy's insistence on bringing Old Fong out. He didn't expect that it could be used at this moment. At least, when it was needed, it could be used immediately without waiting. Doctor of Methods pondered and said, Generally speaking, the process of white bones will vary according to the environmental factors, and it can be long or short. It's summer now, and the bottom area of Infinite City is humid and has poor sanitary conditions. I can only say that it should be within 2 to 6 weeks. That's a big span, isn't it? Officer Ma frowned. Doctor of Methods. Nan Xiaonan shrugged and said, If you want to know the exact time, you can send the bones back for a more detailed examination. However, there are many ways to change the body's white bones under natural conditions, not to mention that there are many so-called immortal methods that can speed up or delay the process of white bones. So even if it is checked, I don't think it will be useful for reference. Is there no way to get the exact time? Officer Ma asked. Nan Xiaonan thought for a while and subconsciously used the knowledge in the subworld 003. It's not that there's no way. For example, check the growth cycle of the larvae on the body. Generally speaking, the insects that breed in the body will have a special gene fragment that can record which generation they were born in. Then, according to their growth cycle, we can infer a more suitable time. But at most, we can only infer the time when the body started to rot. It's really hard to say when it died. Why are you looking at me? Officer Ma blinked and subconsciously looked at Sun Ming. Mr. Sun, do you understand? Sun Ming picked his ears and said, I understand. This guy said that he wants to take these insects back to play with. After playing with them, he can know when the body started to rot. It's that simple. Speaking of which, Old Ma, who is this dark and swarthy guy? You mean Old Fong? He's the medical examiner in our bureau? Hearing this, Officer Ma blinked in surprise and subconsciously looked at the medical examiner. It's a black guy inside? Does this mean that Old Fong is black-hearted? Well, Old Fong is indeed a black-hearted guy. This Sun Ming is quite good at judging people, but Nan Xiaonan didn't think so at this time. Her expression was normal, but she was secretly vigilant, ready to run away at any time. Well, she remembered why Sun Ming's eyes gave her a familiar feeling. It was the feeling when Red Child showed her golden eyes fiery eyes. What's the relationship between these two? Looking at the intimate appearance of Sun Ming and Red Child, Lady Nan felt that the boss of the Flat Sky Group was being cheated on. End of chapter. Chapter 2377. Although Sun Ming could see that the inside of the Method Medicine was a dark mess, he felt that Officer Ma didn't seem to react even though he had already reminded him. So be it. Anyway, Red Child obviously wouldn't have discovered this until now. Since she didn't say anything, it meant that there was no problem for the time being. The problem was the identity of the deceased in this apartment. Gao Yang was an unregistered person, a person with no identity. Even the name Gao Yang might not be his real name. According to the information he got from Little Demon Black Mountain, a Gao Yang was a guy who didn't even have friends. Why did he put surveillance cameras here? Red Child said unhappily. Unexpectedly, Sun Ming grabbed the back of Red Child's neck and said, "It's very late. You're underage, so go home and sleep. The adults will worry about the things here. This time, I'll send you home personally." Red Child, who was grabbed by the back of her neck, seemed to have lost all her strength in an instant. Her whole body was soft, and she didn't even dare to breathe. She was extremely quiet. Officer Ma thought for a while and said, "I'll take everything here, including the skeleton. It seems that this is all we can find tonight. It's not a total loss." Sun Ming didn't say anything. This guy was more direct. He went straight to the only window in the apartment and smashed it. He seemed to be planning to leave with Red Child just like that. But right at this moment, a powerful source of light suddenly shot down from above, accompanied by the rumbling sound of a propeller. And Niu Daguang's voice. "Child, don't be afraid. Your father is here to save you. Sun Ming, how dare you mess with my daughter? I'll kill you." Above the lower level of the Limitless City, a group of flying troops were lined up in a row. In the window of the transport plane in the middle, Niu Daguang was wearing some kind of thick armor made of some unknown material. He had tied himself to Black Star's chest and was holding a loudspeaker. His face was pale and his lips were trembling. No one knew whether he was angry or scared at this moment. But thinking about it, it was more likely that he was scared. "Dad, how could you?" Red Boy opened his mouth in surprise, only to feel a sense of shame and resentment gathering in his chest. "Child, this damn monkey didn't do anything strange to you, right? Don't be afraid. Tell me." Sun Ming scratched his head at this time and suddenly jumped out. His speed was extremely fast. In the next moment, he had already boarded the transport plane where Niu Daguang was. "Look at what you're saying. Old Niu, we're brothers. How could I do anything strange to Red Boy?" Sun Ming glared at Niu Daguang. "Brother? Who wants to be your brother? Bah." However, Niu Daguang seemed to have been provoked by something. "We have already severed our ties. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Take the child back. Tell her not to come to this kind of place in the future. She's a girl." Sun Ming shook his head and threw Red Child directly in front of Niu Daguang. Why do you care so much about her?" Niu Daguang seemed to have turned on a switch. "You really do? Cut the crap." Sun Ming glared at him. "Old ox, you have an agreement with the Thunder Emperor. You have broken the agreement by coming here. Why are you retreating quickly? Do you really intend to start a war?" The monkey's face was fierce to begin with. Now that it was glaring at him, Niu Daguang felt suffocated, and all the words he was about to say were stuck in his throat. So be it. I old ox am super brave. It's just the Thunder Emperor. If two come, I'll beat three. Nyo Dagwang snorted and immediately changed the topic. However, Red Child is here tonight. I'm afraid I'll hurt her. Black Star, let's go. The combat troops came in a grandiose manner and soon left in a grandiose manner. It seemed that every time Nyo Dagwang went out, he would be accompanied by an army. This guy was so afraid of death that even Nan Xiaonan felt ashamed of her inferiority. However, she did not know what happened next on West 5th Street because Officer Massachusetts saw that the situation was not good and pulled her away in the chaos. Otherwise, what could she do? Fight against the armed combat troops of the Flat Sky Organization with a small gun, protect the justice of the world, and then die bravely? Old Ma, I'm not going back. I got off work a long time ago. I'll go straight home. Okay. Officer Ma nodded. At this time, he was still holding two things in his arms. One was a computer host, and the other was a white bone corpse. He quickly packed these things from Gao Yang's apartment before he left. Roughly speaking, these two things were the only valuable things in that house. As for the apartment, he would find some time to come back. Limitless City, in a hall somewhere in the upper-class ruling area. The little demon of the Black Mountain was smiling and said casually, Lord Mayor, Nyo Dagwang has left. Is there anything else we can help you with? But I like it. Lord Mayor, you'd better not take the truce agreement between us lightly. The armed combat troops of the Flat Sky Organization had directly entered the lower level of the Limitless City. Although Nyo Dagwang did not let people open fire, this behavior had violated the original truce agreement. The upper level of the Limitless City did not appear immediately because of this beautiful woman in front of him. When Nyo Dagwang's troops entered the Limitless City, this woman also knocked on the door of the little demon of the Black Mountain. At this time, Iron Luosha sipped her coffee calmly and said calmly, Did I ask you not to open fire on Nyo Dagwang? I just said that whoever dares to touch my daughter, I'll settle the score with them. The little demon of the Black Mountain smiled and said, After all, she's the princess of the Fire Cloud Organization. Even in the Limitless City, she'll be safe. The security of the Limitless City has always been good. Let's go back. Iron Luosha glanced at the little demon of the Black Mountain indifferently and said, If you have the chance, say hello to Thunder Emperor for me. Goodbye, Mr. Mayor. The little demon of the Black Mountain stood up and bowed directly. However, he did not send her out. Instead, he said with a smile, It's so lively tonight. The young man behind the little demon of the Black Mountain frowned and said, Boss, do we need to investigate this matter? Since Sun Ming came in, this matter has been a bit strange. This person called Gao Yang. The little demon of the Black Mountain looked at him with a smile. The young man, Ling Ren, was stunned and said subconsciously, Boss. Sun Ming left while cursing. As a temporary guide, Ren Qing had to return to the upper-class area of the Limitless City to report to the little demon of the Black Mountain. The little demon of the Black Mountain was not only one of the heavenly kings under the Thunder Emperor, but also the internal affairs of the Limitless City. He was in charge of all the internal affairs of the Limitless City. Suddenly, something fell in front of Ren Qing. Bam! It directly hit the ground. Ren Qing took a closer look and realized that the person who had fallen, no longer breathing, was Ling Ren. He looked up subconsciously and saw the expressionless little demon of the Black Mountain on the top of the tall building. He looked down and slowly drew the curtains. Ren Qing took a deep breath and directly stepped over the corpse and walked into the building. One night. It was about 9 a.m. When it was almost 10 a.m., the door of the shop, which was disguised as a clinic, slowly opened. When Miss Maid opened the door in a good mood and walked out with a broom, she saw a curled-up figure at the door. Lady Nan, why are you sleeping here? You'll catch a cold. A little movement woke Nan Xiaonan up. At this time, she glanced at Miss Maid sadly and said embarrassedly, Well, I forgot to bring the key. You should have called me. Miss Maid smiled. Go in, you look tired. Damn it, I can't even go through the wall. There are hundreds of layers of bounded domains inside. What's the use of knocking on the door? Is the boss awake? Nan Shaunan happily got up. He's in the study, Miss Maid chuckled. He just had breakfast. Lady Nan, do you have something to report? Yes. Nan Shaunan nodded. Go in, Miss Maid said with a smile. Nan Shaunan hurriedly walked into the lobby. Just as she was about to go upstairs, she found a piece of toast on the table. It was even covered with butter, and there was a cup of fresh milk beside it. Prepared for me? Nan Shaunan blinked her eyes and muttered with a strange expression on her face. Big stick and carrot? I look very easy to bully. The scholarly witch shrugged and honestly picked up the bread. She walked upstairs while gnawing on it. She came to the door of Boss Luo's study and gently knocked on it. Then, she stepped back and waited quietly. Please come in. Nan Shaunan slowly exhaled, wiped her lips, and then walked into the study energetically. Boss Luo was standing by the window of the study, holding a teacup, quietly looking at Huiyun City outside the window. Pajamas with slightly open lapels. A breath of pure desire came to her face. Lady Nan secretly exhaled, and soon woke up from some strange stimulation. She only loved herself. She didn't want to die. This was not a man she could covet. Boss, don't seduce me, what's the matter? Boss Luo turned around at this time. Nan Shaunan said seriously, Boss, it's like this, last night then, Lady Nan carefully described her experience last night, starting from the autopsy in the Huiyun police station. After a long while, Nan Shaunan finished her story. Then, she let out a long sigh and sat down. She poured herself a cup of tea and drank it in one gulp. Boss Luo was now looking at her with interest. Nan Shaunan smiled embarrassedly, quickly stood up, and put down the teacup. Well, it seemed that she hadn't put it down properly, so she carefully turned the teacup, and then stood up straight with her head up and chest out. Boss, this is what happened. It seems that the nightlife in Huiyun City is also very exciting. Boss Luo said thoughtfully, I think I should go out more. Nan Shaunan thought of something. Boss, are you going to Limitless City? It depends on the situation. Boss Luo said casually, we will live here temporarily. We have to walk around every corner of this city, so this trip will not be in vain. Nan Shaunan thought for a while, then, Boss, about the Officer Ma in the Huiyun police station. Is this a coincidence? It depends on what you think. Boss Luo thought for a while. After all, Huiyun City, from the geographical coordinates of this world, is the same place as the subworld number 003. Nan Shaunan was shocked. This Huiyun City was the anti-magic city of number 003. The same location? She was secretly shocked. At this time, Miss Maid had pushed the door open and entered, and she was even holding a set of clothes that Nan Shaunan found very familiar. Isn't this the uniform of the Huiyun police station? Boss Luo didn't say anything, and Miss Maid brought the uniform to him. When his fingers touched the clothes had already appeared on his body. At this time, Boss Luo, who was still wearing the uniform of the Huiyun police station, slightly opened his hands and smiled. How is it? Does it fit? Miss Maid smiled and carefully arranged Boss Luo's collar and hat. Boss, what are you going to do? Nan Shaunan finally couldn't hold back her curiosity. So, Boss Luo said with a very sunny smile, one of my dreams when I was a child was to be a police officer. Police? Are you going to fish for the law? Lady Nan didn't know where to start complaining. She even started to imagine if Boss Luo was tired of playing with doctors and nurses, and that Miss Maid should go on stage in a policewoman uniform. Black stockings? TSK. Haven't you found Old Fong? Where the hell is this guy? He still has a lot of things to do. Sir Ma too. Zero was so angry that the fragile desk was instantly broken, and the documents were scattered all over the floor. After the fire in the Huiyun police station was put out last night, Many places were no longer suitable for working. The director hurriedly contacted the renovation team to renovate the Huiyun police station, starting from the director's office. It took a lot of effort to clean up the temporary headquarters of the Special Task Force. There were still traces of burns on the walls. Besides, after knowing that Red Boy didn't come with them but was taken away by Niu Dagwang, none of the police elites with more than 30, 40 or 50 years of experience came to the meeting. Sir Ma 2.0 felt very comfortable in the office, but he also felt wronged. "Did you find anything useful on the mainframe I moved back?" Officer Ma looked at his subordinate and asked. The subordinate shook his head and said, "It's all the surveillance videos of the streets, nothing else. We've ordered people to watch the surveillance videos, but we didn't find anything special for now." Officer Ma scratched his head with both hands. After a long while, he heaved a sigh of relief. When he was about to say something, there was a knock on the door of the temporary headquarters. A young man with a very unfamiliar face slowly walked over. "Sir, I'm Luochio, officer number 07961. The director sent me to assist Officer Ma in investigating the Wang Badan case." Sir Ma 2.0 blinked subconsciously. This kid looked too clean. He didn't look like a detective, but more like a police officer. Could it be that he was a relative's child who was sent here by the bureau chief to gain experience? "Director Lu sent you? I see. I need more people here." Sir Ma 2.0 nodded. "Did you just graduate from school?" "It's my first day here." Luochio smiled. "Officer Ma, just tell me what you need me to do." As expected, Sir Ma 2.0 said calmly, "Since you're here, do your best." "I, Officer Ma, love to help the newcomer. You go out and buy me 2 deep-fried dough sticks and a cup of soy milk. I haven't had breakfast yet. Let's test this guy first." End of chapter. Chapter 2378. Looking at the soy milk and youtiao in front of him, Sir Ma 2.0 suddenly felt speechless. It turned out that he didn't tell the newcomer which shop he used to eat youtiao. There were 4 or 5 such shops outside the Fire Cloud police station. Originally, he had planned to nitpick, but he didn't expect that this newcomer would be so lucky. Not only did he choose the right store, but he also bought his favorite deep-fried dough stick set meal, the Big Mac. He even had Sir Ma's favorite fried rice, with the sumptuous breakfast in front of him. Officer Ma didn't want to be rude. He cleared his throat and said, "You can also eat with us. The director sent you here. Have you read the case file?" "Not yet." Luochio shook his head. Officer Ma threw a stack of files to him. "Read it while you eat. That's how we do things. You have to be prepared. Investigating a case is tiring, and it's common for you not to go home for a few days. You'd better tell your parents about it. If you have a girlfriend, you have to deal with your relationship problems. Don't let it affect your work," he said earnestly. "For the sake of this Big Mac, youtiao set meal and the extra fried rice, I'll take it." Luochio blinked and glanced at the familiar face. Then he picked up the file and started to read it carefully. Actually, when he was in Subworld 003, he could also play like this. However, he always felt that it was a little less interesting. It was different in Pale Blue. The 2 Ma Howd were different. It was a novelty. "You can ask me if you don't understand. After breakfast, come with us to investigate something," Sir Ma 2.0 said while chewing the youtiao. After a long while, Luochio finished reading the file and closed his eyes, as if he was digesting the content. Sir Ma 2.0 suddenly became interested. He wanted to know whether this newcomer was here to gain experience or to be sent here as support. He asked, "What do you think? Are there any cases with similar modus operandi?" Luochio thought for a while and asked. Sir Ma 2.0 said, "Well, this case is very brutal. It's possible to find the connection between the unsolved cases and the cases of psychopathic killers. However, it's a pity that we compared it immediately. Such a cruel method, let alone in Fiery Cloud City, Even in azure blue, it's the first case. Well, I'm talking about a case that has been recorded. Luochu said, I'm not talking about the way the murder destroyed the body. I mean the missing heart. Heart? Officer Ma 2. Paused for a second. Yes, the heart of the victim was indeed removed. I think the murderer took the heart as a trophy. In fact, many psychopathic murderers like to take something from the dead as a collection to reminisce about the past. Well, the heart? Suddenly, Officer Ma 2. Thought of something. He looked at his subordinate and said, Lin Feng, check if any of the victims lost their hearts in the recent years in Huiyuan City. Also, check other districts. Coincidentally, not only did Sir Ma 2. Appear in Fiery Cloud City, but even Ma Hao's old partner in 003, Lin Feng, also appeared in Fiery Cloud City. Let's call him Lin Feng 2. For now. He was the hot-blooded subordinate. Soon, Lin Feng 2. Got the result. Sir Ma, according to the records, there hasn't been a case of a corpse losing a heart in recent years. This is the first case. No. Sir Ma 2. Nodded. He wasn't too disappointed. Obviously, he didn't expect much from this point. He just didn't want to embarrass the newcomer, for the sake of the big fried dough stick set. But 3 weeks ago there was a case of a missing heart. Lin Feng 2. Said, the First People's Hospital of Fiery Cloud City lost the heart. The heart was used for a transplant operation, but it was lost in the process of transportation. It hasn't been found yet. A heart used for a transplant operation? Sir Ma 2. Frowned. Who handled the case? Why don't I know about it? Lin Feng 2. Said, it happened in the Eastern District, so the case was handled by the Eastern District branch. It's still under investigation. But one was a dead person whose heart was dug out, and the other was a donated heart for surgery. There's no connection between them. What about the patient who was waiting for surgery? Sir Ma 2. Suddenly asked. Lin Feng 2. Looked at the data and said, the patient was lucky. He didn't get a heart for transplant, but there was a car accident and a girl died. The girl had signed the consent form for organ donation before she died, and the match was successful, so the patient survived. Now, he should be in the hospital. Sir Ma 2. Scratched his head. The two cases don't seem to be related, but it reminded me. Officer Ma, do you think there's a connection between them? Luochu asked curiously. Sir Ma 2. Shook his head. Not yet, but it reminded me of something. What else do you think the murderer could have used Wang Badan's heart for? Lin Feng 2. Said, to practice evil arts? Or to use human hearts as medicine? I heard that there's a kind of evil art that requires human hearts to be fed. A few years ago in Chang'an City, there was a particularly vicious serial murder case. The murderer killed more than 30 girls in a row, dug out their hearts, and used them to refine poisonous insects. In the end, he was caught by the special police of Chang'an City. When they broke into the murderer's cultivation place, they were all shocked. Is it the same case this time? F***CK. Officer Ma, this is a major case. There aren't so many major cases in Fiery Cloud City. Sir Ma 2. Rolled his eyes. This guy only thought about solving major cases and leaving his name in history. If there were so many major cases in Fiery Cloud City, the elites in the bureau wouldn't have time to drink tea at 3:30 every day. Officer Ma, you mean the murderer may have taken the heart to sell it to the organ market, Luochu said. I just had an idea. Officer Ma 2. Shook his head. We need intuition to solve cases. Of course, we need to verify it. Lin Feng, you continue to investigate Gao Yang's whereabouts. As for you, newbie, follow me to work on the case. Hong Hong, can you come out? I'm not going to work today. I'm staying at home with you. Hong Hong? In the luxurious house in the sky, Niu Dagwang was holding a plate of snacks that Red Boy liked to eat. He had been working hard outside the door for about an hour. Hong Hong, can you come out? I'm sorry. Although Nyo Dogwang didn't know what he did wrong, it was the right thing to do. After Nyo Dogwang brought Red Boy back from Limitless City, Red Boy locked himself in his room, and Nyo Dogwang couldn't do anything about it. At this moment, Red Boy was squatting in front of the computer with headphones on, hugging a pillow. The webpage on the screen was the chat section of Fiery Cloud High School. Although the photos of Wang Badan's death had been deleted, the discussion about it hadn't stopped. Although the moderators were constantly deleting and muting the posts, they couldn't stand the students' coquettish actions and dirty words. Why did they only post the photos on the campus network of Fiery Cloud High School? Is the real murderer hiding in the school? Gao Yang, as if thinking of something, Red Boy suddenly jumped up and appeared in front of the door with a somersault. He opened the door, and Nyo Dogwang, who was sticking to the door, blinked blankly at this time. Hong Hong, you're finally willing to see me. Hong Hong, where are you going? Cool. Red Boy walked out without looking back. Nyo Dogwang was stunned, thinking that it was a good thing that his daughter wanted to go to school. But before he could comfort her, he remembered that it was a holiday today. Forget it, as long as she went to school, it was a good thing. Hong Hong, do you need me to send someone to give you a ride? Nyo Dogwang followed his daughter happily. Do you have enough money? Do you want me to get 10 pounds of high-grade spirit stones for you? Don't call me that name again. Okay, Hong Hong. Nyo Dogwang. What's the matter? Nyo Dogwang was startled. Red Boy was startled at this time. He looked behind Nyo Dogwang and said, Mom, when did you come back? Wife. Nyo Dogwang instantly sucked in a breath of cold air. His whole body began to tremble. His neck stiffened and his teeth chattered. He turned his head around with a creaking sound. There was no one in the corridor behind him. Red Boy was nowhere to be seen. Reverse 5 elements, burning cloud. The scorching air made the surrounding temperature rise by a few degrees. Red Boy got out of the car and walked into the teaching building, while taking off her gloves and stuffing them into her trouser pocket. Obviously, Fiery Cloud High School wasn't lively on weekends. Except for the guards, there were only the teachers on duty, and Red Boy was going to the teaching office of Fiery Cloud High School. Nyo Dogwang was the biggest shareholder of Fiery Cloud High School. In fact, the whole Fiery Cloud High School was almost the same as Nyo Dogwang. Red Boy didn't care if anyone saw her coming back to school during the off hours. She directly kicked open the door of the teaching office. One of the teachers on duty had a stunned look on his face. Then, he trembled as he watched Red Boy kick the door open and enter. Miss Red Boy. Why are you here? Open the door of the archive room for me, Red Boy said directly. Right away. The teacher on duty did not intend to ask what she wanted to do. Without saying a word, he took out a bunch of keys and hurriedly opened the door of the archive room. He said, Miss Red Child, I don't know what kind of information you want to do. You can tell me. No, you can go out. Red Boy said indifferently, go to wherever it is cool. Understood, then he got out. The archive room was not small, and there were dozens of cabinets. Red Boy walked slowly among the cabinets with no expression. Suddenly, Red Boy raised her head, and her eyes gradually revealed a strange light. What are you doing here? On a bookcase, the air suddenly shook, and then a cloud of black fog slowly floated down. Finally, the fog took shape and revealed the appearance of the person. Nan Xiaonan. The golden eyes, flaming eyes, were a special kind of eyes that evolved to the highest level, and it was said to be able to see through all illusions. Whether it was true or not, Red Boy didn't know. After all, her eyes hadn't evolved to the so-called highest level. But she had remembered this black fog long ago. She originally thought that it would be the method doctor. But she didn't expect that it would be a woman with a good appearance at least. At first glance, she knew that this woman was not a good woman. This is your original appearance? Red Boy frowned and looked at Nan Xiaonan, or, Did you steal someone's identity this time? What's your origin? I'm a real teacher of Huiyun High School. Lady Nan smiled at this time. This is my teacher's certificate. Strictly speaking, you even have to call me teacher. Good girl, call me teacher. You're the new biology teacher? Red Boy glanced at Nan Xiaonan's teacher's certificate and said indifferently, well, you're fired now. There was such an operation, sure enough, the naughty children of rich families were capricious. Lady Nan suddenly smiled and quickly put the certificate into her pocket, as if this topic had never happened, and said shamelessly, by the way, why did you suddenly come back to school? Shouldn't you be investigating the case with Officer Ma? Red Boy didn't speak, but stared at Nan Xiaonan with her eyes gradually sharpened. This child had experienced, at least on the battlefield of life and death. Nan Xiaonan was slightly startled, and after adjusting her attitude she said slowly, I saw that Wang Badan's death photo was posted in school, so I thought that there might be some clues in school. Anyway, there wasn't much progress in Huiyun Police Station, and Pigao Yang was not found, so I planned to come back to try my luck. I didn't expect that you would also come. Why are you investigating? Red Boy asked. Nan Xiaonan shrugged. Maybe you don't know, but on the first day I came to school, I was indebted to your good sister for taking care of me. I wanted to get back at her, but I didn't expect that she would be killed like this. Are you unhappy? Badan only wanted to blow up Li Jianren. You're just a little unlucky, you can't blame her. Red Boy said indifferently. Lady Nan frowned. Speaking of which, how much do you students hate teacher Xiao Hu? Why do you bully him every day? Don't you know? Red Boy asked indifferently. Nan Xiaonan shrugged. Red Boy said expressionlessly, if you want to stand up for him, you'd better figure out what kind of trash he is first. What did he do? Nan Xiaonan frowned subconsciously. Red Boy didn't say anything, just glanced at the information cabinet, and then his eyes lit up. He pulled out a file shelf and opened it, but soon Red Boy's face changed slightly. Don't look at it, I don't know who tore away the information here. Nan Xiaonan said indifferently at this time, I just looked at it, this is the register of teachers. I don't know who was torn away. Gao Yang. Red Boy was silent for a while, then slowly said a name. Gao. Gao Yang? Nan Xiaonan was stunned, you mean? Red Boy looked at Nan Xiaonan at this time and said in a low voice, Gao Yang, like you, used to be a biology teacher here. Huh? This chapter ends. Chapter 2379. There was a long silence in the archive room. In the silence, Nan Xiaonan had finished processing the information she had at present. You mean the unregistered driver, Gao Yang, who took us there that night, and the biology teacher, Gao Yang, who used to teach here, are the same person? I don't know. Red Boy said indifferently, Gao Yang disappeared a few years ago. I didn't care if he was found later. If I didn't hear from old Zheng from the taxi company last night, I would have forgotten that there was such a guy. When old Zheng mentioned Gao Yang last night, you already remembered, right? Nan Xiaonan recalled and said. Red Boy said expressionlessly, there are at least 800 people with the same name. Nan Xiaonan chuckled. If it's just the same name, why did you come back to the archive room to look for information? Isn't it because you have some conjecture in your heart? Red Boy glanced at Nan Xiaonan indifferently and said suddenly, I remember I said that you have been fired. No more chatting. Lady Nan's face suddenly darkened. It was not that she had no way to deal with the naughty child, so she directly brought out Niu Dagwang. Sorry, my employment permit came from Boss Niu's office. Without the order of Boss Niu's office, no one can fire me. It's just firing a person. Red Boy sneered directly. Nan Xiaonan shrugged and said, if I was just an ordinary person, could I get a recommendation from Boss Niu's office? What do you mean? Red Boy couldn't help but frown. If this black and foggy woman was a woman for the time being, a fog demon? She was a woman for the time being. This woman really got a recommendation from old Niu's office. It was really not easy to fire her. With her understanding of Old Nyo, if there were no special factors, Old Nyo would not recommend someone to be a teacher here. The big boss behind Fire Cloud High School was Nyo Dagwang. Nyo Dagwang had too many industries, and Fire Cloud High School was not a profitable business. It could be said that Old Nyo basically did not pay much attention to the operation of Fire Cloud High School. Why did Old Nyo recommend a teacher to Fire Cloud High School that he usually did not care about? Are you my father's new girlfriend? Red Boy could only think of a more reasonable reason, and looked up and down at Nan Xiaonan. You're so dull. Why is Old Nyo's taste getting worse and worse recently? That was too much. As the Black Soul envoys, their mist form was ever-changing. It was only a matter of seconds for them to become a busted tyrant. How could this be called natural beauty? Boss Nyo and I don't have that kind of relationship. Nan Xiaonan shook her head in annoyance. Anyway, she didn't have to take responsibility for talking big. Her skills in this area were already maxed out. Otherwise, when she was in the Book of Gaia, she wouldn't have fooled Demon King Fairmont. However, after learning that not only was Nan Xiaonan involved in this case, but she even had an unclear relationship with Old Nyo, Red Boy was obviously more guarded against Nan Xiaonan. Let's put it this way. I'm really not a bad person. Nan Xiaonan said seriously. I really just want to investigate this case clearly. As for the reason, you can take it that I'm itching for a fight. Itching for a fight? Red Boy was stunned. You used to be a police officer? A forensic doctor. Nan Xiaonan narrowed her eyes. Cut by cut open the body and eat skewers on the side. In fact, there is no difference between a human's kidney and an animal's kidney. She obviously couldn't win against Nan Xiaonan, this shameless witch. The scene of the kidney and the kidney appeared instantly in her mind. Red Boy's stomach surged slightly, but the burning feeling from her palm suppressed her discomfort very well. Red Boy slowly exhaled, but carefully looked at the document in her hand that had a few pages torn away. She frowned and said, Who do you think will tear away the information that belongs to Gao Yang? The purpose of tearing away the information is that they don't want us to find more information about Gao Yang. Nan Xiaonan thought for a while and said, If it's not Gao Yang himself, it must be someone related to him. From the traces on these pages, it should have been torn away recently. It's even possible that it was torn away after your classmate was killed. Go to the security room. Red Boy said directly. Miss, are you not going to fire me now? Nan Xiaonan said with a smile. From next week onwards, you will guard the door. Red Boy sneered. I don't need you to rely on my willfulness. I'm wrong? This Officer Ma in the world of Kanglin liked to race. He was an experienced driver who could drive an old car out of a supercar. Luochio sat beside the co-driver's seat, watching Sir Ma 2.0 jump 7 or 8 lanes while cursing. He was still not as good as Ren Xiling. Sir Ma 2.0's destination was a billiard room. It was said that he came here to find a guy called Violent Dragon, a guy who dared to smuggle anything as long as he was paid. Isn't the biggest smuggling network in Fiery Cloud City in Limitless City? Luochio asked curiously. Sir Ma 2.0 said, Nyo Dagwang is not the only one who runs the business in Fiery Cloud City. There are always some guys who survive in between the cracks. Don't underestimate them. Even if they don't know the first-hand information, it's still fresh. Boss Luo nodded, silently playing the role of a young policeman. At this moment, there were not many people in the billiard room. Since Sir Ma walked in, there were always some eyes on him. Until Officer Ma came to an office, he was stopped by someone. Sir Ma, our boss is working. It's not the right time for you to go in. Why don't you wait for a while? It was a man with black glasses who had dyed his hair red, white, and blue. Obviously, it was not the first time he dealt with Officer Ma. Humph? With that toothpick of yours, do you want women to be unable to control themselves? Sir Ma 2.0 sneered, pushing aside the glasses, and was about to push the door open. But the four muscular men stood in front of the door with their arms crossed, like door gods. Officer Ma sneered, patting Boss Luo's shoulder. Then he slowly took off his coat for Boss Luo to hold, saying indifferently, "Boy, watch how I deal with these guys. I'm putting money in your pocket." Seeing Officer Ma start to take off his clothes, the four muscular men who blocked the door frowned and showed their ferocious looks. Sir Ma too. Zero sneered, and then his face changed. With a scream, he fell to the ground. "You're finished. You attacked the police. You're doomed. Fiery Cloud Police Department won't let you go. From now on, I'll go on a diet if I don't clean your place every day. Ouch. It hurts. It hurts. Attacking the police. Murder. Violent dragons men beat the law enforcers. Is there any law? F*CKU. Can't you be more careful?" The four muscular men, as well as the black-rimmed man with red, white, and blue hair, were all dumbfounded as they watched Officer Ma play the role of loneliness. F*CKU. F*CKU. Make distance. One of the muscular men suddenly shivered. With the help of Lawless's Cantonese, his muscles instantly expanded and tore through his clothes, transforming him into a humanoid brown bear. Officer Ma too. Zero was lifted up by the muscular man with one hand. "Boy, think carefully. You'll be in jail for 8 to 10 years after this punch, unless you leave Fiery Cloud City overnight." Sir Ma too. Zero narrowed his eyes, but his eyes were wide open as if saying, "Come and hit me, stop." The door to the office opened, and a man wearing a wrinkled suit and a bracelet slowly walked out. "What are you doing? Do you think I'm dead?" "Who's Sir Ma? He's my good friend. How dare you treat him like this? Put him down." Hearing this, the muscular man let go of Officer Ma with a dejected expression. Tyrannosaurus walked to the muscular man, spitting saliva. "Officer Ma and I are good friends. He got a red card in the first half, and I got a red card in the second half. If you don't respect him, you don't respect me." Sir Ma's face was normal at first, but it gradually changed. Tyrannosaurus snorted, patting the back of the muscular man's head. "Apologize to Officer Ma. Do you want me to chop you up and feed you to the dogs?" The muscular man reluctantly looked at Officer Ma and said, "I'm sorry." Tyrannosaurus patted the muscular man's head again. "Be more sincere. It was the kind of bow that could kill with a 90-degree bow. If you're not sincere enough, people will think we're impolite." The muscular man clenched his fists, widened his eyes, but still bent down. "Stop. Are you stupid? Did you say the word stop?" Tyrannosaurus kicked the muscular man away, tidied up his clothes, and lifted his chin. "I said the word stop." Yes, stop, boss. I won't dare to do that next time." "Pfft, you mother." Seeing that Tyrannosaurus was going to punish him, Sir Ma too. Zero rolled his eyes and stopped Tyrannosaurus's hand. "All right, Tyrannosaurus, I came to ask you something, not to watch you punish your men. You should have told me earlier." Tyrannosaurus patted Officer Ma's chest. "You'll never beat around the bush when you ask me for help. Good friends. Hey, who's this handsome guy? I've never seen him before." "Call him Tyrannosaurus," Officer Ma said. Boss Luo smiled. "Nice to meet you, Tyrannosaurus." Tyrannosaurus blinked. "Hey? Does he look like a scholar? A cultured person?" TSK, I like cultured people the most. I'm also a cultured person, so we're all classmates. Come on, I'll take you to the female students." As he spoke, the boss of the billiard room put his hand on Officer Ma's shoulder and walked in. "Old Ma, you're quite easy to catch, aren't you?" F*CKU, a sound that sounded like chewing or swallowing came from under the desk. Tyrannosaurus pressed down with one hand and gnawed on a pickle with the other, gasping from time to time. "Sorry, I was halfway through my work," Tyrannosaurus said while chewing on the pickle. "You know, it's uncomfortable to be stuck in the middle." Officer Ma said indifferently, All right, Tyrannosaurus, we all know what kind of person you are. How much do you know about what I just said? Officer Ma, I've washed my hands of the underworld for a long time. Why don't you go to Limitless City and ask? Tyrannosaurus said casually. Washed your hands of the underworld? Officer Ma frowned. When? Yesterday. Officer Ma didn't say anything. He took off his gun and threw it on the table. Tyrannosaurus said, What are you doing? My gun is missing. Officer Ma said indifferently, It's missing from your shop. Don't open your shop for the next 2 days. Tyrannosaurus blinked and gasped in disbelief. Old Ma, you've been doing this for decades, can't you change it? Just this. Officer Ma shrugged. Tyrannosaurus scratched his head. In the past few days, I haven't heard any news about anyone selling hearts. The black market has always been very strict about organs. Iron Rakshasas, Shadow Troop, isn't someone to be trifled with. Who would dare to take this risk? My business is small, but it's not like Limitless City that can't handle it. I didn't say it was you. Officer Ma said angrily. You really didn't hear anything? By the way, didn't Fire Cloud Hospital lose a heart a few days ago? Did you do it? Officer. You can eat whatever you want. Tyrannosaurus almost jumped up. I'm bad, but I'm not that bad, right? That matter has nothing to do with me. That matter? Officer Ma said. You know a lot of things since you're here. Tyrannosaurus, I don't have time to waste here. You don't want me to stay here forever. What do you know? Tell me honestly and I'll leave right away. I promise I won't trouble you in the short term. As for the waterway, I can also promise to let you be quiet for a week. 2 weeks. Deal. Tyrannosaurus bro heaved a sigh of relief and composed himself. I really don't know who stole the heart in Huiyun City Hospital. However, several families are looking for the person who stole the heart. It's just that there's no news of him. However, I do know how the heart that was operated on came about. I'll tell you in advance that I only heard about it. I didn't do anything. You go first. Officer Ma frowned. Tyrannosaurus said, I can only say that the car accident wasn't an accident. It was done by someone. The patient was waiting for the heart in the operation room. However, the heart was lost, so he had to find another heart. That's all. Who did it? Officer Ma asked in a low voice. I don't know. Tyrannosaurus shook his head and said, Even if I know, I won't tell you. You know the rules of our line of work. I know what I can tell you. If you force me, this is the end of our friendship. Officer Ma became silent. Boss Luo said at this time, Tyrannosaurus, where can we or who can tell us about this matter? Officer Ma was stunned. Tyrannosaurus blinked his eyes. I told you, I like cultured people the most. Suddenly, Tyrannosaurus quivered and slammed the table, shouting, Stupid Chong! Come in. Chapter 2380. Sha Chong was dumbfounded. It spilled everything after being dragged into the washroom by Officer Ma. Officer Ma said goodbye to Violent Dragon and left the billiard room with Luochio. Boss Luo had a general understanding of the friendship between the two. I didn't scare you, did I? You didn't have any blood on your face. Officer Ma looked at Luochio and said, You didn't react at all. Were you really scared? This young man was too calm, as if he was scared out of his wits. Maybe it's because I'm weak, Luochio said casually. I've been in poor health since I was a kid. It's normal that I don't have enough blood. Really? Officer Ma nodded as he casually patted the young man's shoulder. Do more exercise when you're free. We need to be fat in this line of work. Let's go to the gym together when you're free. Sure. Luochio nodded. Sir Ma, are we going to find the person Violent Dragon provided? It's Sha Chong. It has nothing to do with Violent Dragon. Sir Ma too. Zero suddenly said seriously. Besides, we didn't see Violent Dragon today. Remember? Luochio nodded. Wait here, I'll go get the car, Sir Ma said and walked quickly to the parking lot on the other side of the road. Luochio. Boss Luo looked at Officer Ma, who was running across the road while taking out coins from his pocket, preparing to put them into a watch. He smiled. Suddenly, Boss Luo looked at another direction and gazed for a while. Then, Sir Ma drove over. Why are you in a daze? Get in the car. No. Luo Qiu shook his head and pointed to a shop on the opposite street. That shop seems to have good food. Oh. Let me see, free of charge for 3 people? It looks really good? Officer Ma blinked, then quickly wrote it down in his notebook. I'll ask Lin Feng to join us later, and we'll be able to save one person's meal money, tsk. Luoqiu didn't say anything and got into the car. In the bustling city, Sir Ma couldn't directly speed at the start. After the car slowly ascended to a certain height, it entered the inner ring highway of Huiyun City. A black van slowly opened. Sun Mingjing, who had a monkey face and a black jacket, slowly walked out of the van with a cup of peach milk tea in his hand. Just now. I was discovered? He raised his head and glanced at the advertisement slogan that read, 3 people in a group, 1 free. He frowned slightly. There shouldn't be any. Soon, Sun Ming brought his 2 followers and walked into T-Rex Bro's billiard room. 9 Dragons Billiard City was the name of this billiard room. At this time, there were no customers in the billiard room, probably because of the disturbance caused by Officer Ma. Only a group of caretakers were idling in 2s and 3s. When Sun Ming stepped into the billiard room, the followers inside cast an unfriendly look at him. Boss Sun looked like he was here to pick a fight. The red-white-blue guy and Sha Chong directly walked in front of Sun Ming. Friend, do you want to play billiard? The starting fee is 200 yuan, 100 yuan per hour. How long will it take? Officer Ma just came here. Who is he looking for? One of Sun Ming's followers asked directly at this time. Sha Chong frowned and was about to finish, but the red-white-blue guy smiled and said, No one has been here before. If you want to find someone, go downstairs for a massage. The 8's hand gesture is good. He said Brother He introduced you to get a 10% discount. The follower directly snorted and was about to move, but Sun Ming suddenly waved his hand and smiled casually. He looked at the tricolored guy and said, Can I talk to your boss? Our boss is very busy. He can't just meet any random person. Brother, what are you doing? Sha Chong sneered. Sun Ming didn't speak. He just went straight to the office door. Seeing this, the tricolored guy and Sha Chong didn't let him go. They called out, and the followers in the billiard room rushed over, but Sun Ming's hands weren't for nothing. More than a dozen thugs in the billiard room couldn't get close to Sun Ming, they couldn't even touch his clothes. Sun Ming had already arrived in front of the office door. At this time, a cold light suddenly shot out from the door. Sun Ming didn't move. The cold light finally stopped in front of his eyes, less than an inch away. It was a fruit knife that pierced through the door. Sun Ming chuckled, and the office door slowly opened. In the room, T-Rex Bro took an apple and walked out with a face full of displeasure. Noisier sister, I am having fun. It's so hard to date a beautiful girl. With that, T-Rex Bro pulled out the fruit knife from the door and ate the apple. You're T-Rex? Sun Ming looked at T-Rex Bro from head to toe, the former double-flower red rod of the God's Path Association. I have heard of you. T-Rex Bro said, Look at your sharp head and narrow forehead. You don't have any noble aura. You smell of alcohol. Oh, I know, you are the boss of that Elysium bar, right? I have also heard of you. Sun Ming, right? Nice to meet you. With that, T-Rex Bro stretched out his hand to get to know him. Sun Ming smiled casually and directly reached out to hold T-Rex Bro's hand. Unexpectedly, when they just touched, T-Rex Bro pulled back his hand and wiped it on his clothes. Sorry, I forgot that this hand has just been washed. I haven't washed it. You don't mind, right? Sun Ming exhaled, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. The air in the billiard room seemed to be stagnant, and the lights exploded one after another. Boss Sun smiled, and the smile gradually became stronger. There seemed to be a terrible giant ape shadow behind him, wantonly beating its chest. Suddenly, a deafening roar rang out, as if an extremely evil Tyrannosaurus Rex had flashed past. "Handsome boy, the decoration here is very expensive." T-Rex bro patted Sun Ming's shoulder casually. "What's the matter? Let's talk about it. We are friends." It was as if nothing had happened. However, all the lights in the billiard room had exploded, and the room became dim, but it was quiet again. Sun Ming suddenly smiled and said, "I didn't expect that in Huiyun City. There is another master besides the Thunder Emperor of the Limitless City. I am ignorant. The former God's Path Association's gold medal fighter really deserves his reputation." "You flatter me. It's the Jianghu friends who give me face. I'm sorry for today." Sun Ming smiled faintly. He turned back and snapped his fingers, and the subordinate behind him respectfully took out a bank card. "This is the compensation. Another day, I will set up a table in Huiyun Hotel and make friends. There is money to move, there is food to eat, and there is no need to drive away." T-Rex bro took the bank card with a smile. "What about you, D*MN friend?" With that, T-Rex even patted Sun Ming's chest with one hand, and looked at his subordinate loudly. "Hey! What about you, Banyan boy? Learn from your subordinates. Are you a boss? Goodbye." Sun Ming narrowed his eyes, and soon left with his two subordinates. T-Rex bro waved the bank card in his hand at this time, and said with a smile, "Thank you, Boss Sun. You are welcome. In the minivan. Boss, do you want someone to take action tonight and destroy this billiard room?" Sun Ming looked at his subordinate expressionlessly, and didn't say anything. He looked at his subordinate who was sweating profusely, and finally had to lower his head, feeling uneasy. Sun Ming suddenly said, 10 years ago, the Sherdao Association disappeared overnight. Since then, this person, T-Rex, has disappeared without a trace. I thought the T-Rex in this small billiard room was just a guy who used the name of T-Rex to fool around. I didn't expect to meet the real person. The world is really small and wonderful. Boss, is this T-Rex really so powerful? Sun Ming said, no matter how powerful he is, he didn't protect the Sherdao Association. Don't worry about this person for the time being. That Inspector Ma, where did you follow him? The subordinate hurriedly contacted him, and soon his face turned ugly. We lost them all. Were we discovered? Sun Ming frowned. But the subordinate said with a strange expression, we weren't discovered. It's just inexplicable. It's either a traffic jam or the car broke down and suddenly ran out of gas. At this time, the window of the minivan was suddenly knocked a few times. The subordinate opened the curtains and saw a muscular man standing outside the car. It was the one in the Nine Dragons billiard room. It seems to be called Sha Chong. What's the matter? The subordinate opened the window and asked with an unkind expression. Sha Chong said, my boss told me to tell you. Oh no, my boss told me to tell you, it's me who told you, it has nothing to do with him. He said that if you want to find something, go find a Sang Kuan. Sang Kuan? The subordinate frowned and subconsciously looked at Sun Ming in the car. Sun Ming nodded, indicating that he knows. The subordinate then looked at Sha Chong and said, our boss knows, go back and thank your boss. Why aren't you leaving? Sha Chong was still standing there and didn't have any intention of leaving. Hearing this, Sha Chong frowned and spread out his hand. Give me money. My boss said that you will give me money. If you don't give me money, I won't leave. Hey, cool hand. Hurry up and hit the waves. Sha Chong. Fire Cloud High, security room, monitoring room. A security guard in the monitoring room was sweating at this time. He stood aside and didn't dare to breathe. The most powerful person in Fire Cloud High School was Principal Wang Baiwan, followed by Master Wang Jufu, and then everyone had to listen to the two of them. In front of the young lady of Fire Cloud City, the two of them were also her grandsons. Are all the recent videos here? Red Boy frowned. She and Nan Xiaonan had carefully watched the surveillance videos of the past 2 weeks. The only person who entered the archives was a teacher from the teaching staff. Qing Lake. It's all here. The security guard quickly said at this time. Our monitoring room has always been very responsible. Every day we will categorize the recorded videos and usually only clear it once every half a year. Nan Xiaonan suddenly frowned and said, "What about here? Who else can come in here except you?" The security guard thought for a while and said, "Generally, no one will come here except for the people who change shifts. Usually, only the captain and leaders will come here occasionally when they check the post. How can others come in? The collection of the key to the monitoring room is recorded every time." "Can I borrow these videos?" Nan Xiaonan smiled and added, "I am borrowing it for Miss Red Boy." The security guard was hesitant at first, but he immediately said, "I will install it for you right away." With that, the security guard hurriedly looked for something to install the videotape. Red Boy saw this and couldn't help but frown. "Do you think there is a problem with these videos?" Nan Xiaonan shrugged and said, "Gao Yang's information was torn away recently. In this video, it shows that no one has entered except for Qing Lake. There is no window in that place, only a door. So it can only be Qing Lake who tore it away. But if it is not Qing Lake, who could it be?" Red Boy pondered and said, "Someone who is not shown in the video? Besides, we haven't asked Qing Lake. How do we know it is not him?" "We need to ask Qing Lake and check the videotape." Nan Xiaonan shrugged and said, "Besides, if it was you who did something, would you leave such obvious traces? Maybe he knew that there would be such thoughts, so he didn't do anything? Then let's continue with the Matryoshka doll." Nan Xiaonan shrugged. "Miss, instead of making so many assumptions, why don't we check Qing Lake and the videotape?" "Humph." Red Boy stood up directly. "I am going to find Qing Lake, you continue to watch the videos." Officer Ma's car was parked downstairs of a factory building. He stuck his head out and looked around for a while before saying, "This is the nest of the Sang Kuan. Don't talk nonsense when we get there. This Sang Kuan isn't as nice as Violent Dragon." "Sir Ma, are you familiar with Sang Kuan?" Luochio asked curiously. Sir Ma too. Zero said grumpily, "This guy's file is 3 feet thick in the bureau. Do you think I am familiar with him, or not? This guy has done all kinds of bad things, but Sang Kuan is very cunning. Every time something happens, he will ask his underlings to take the blame. This was a scumbag that you clearly knew was a scumbag, but because of the law, you had no choice but to let him go free. Furthermore, there should be an even bigger financial backer behind Sang Kuan. In short, the waters of Flaming Cloud City are very deep. You will slowly find out. Here, this is for you, put it on." Sir Ma took out a black vest from the back seat and put it on Luochio. "You don't know what will happen when you go up, so put it on. This is my personal item, better than the standard one in the bureau. Remember to return it to me after you wear it. It's very expensive." "Okay." Luochio couldn't help smiling. It was a sincere smile. "Right. What level are you at now?" Officer Ma asked suddenly. "Boss Luo downloaded one at the last minute, 3 episodes. Level 3? Officer Ma nodded. "Well, not bad for your age. Level 3 should be enough. Let's go up." In a shabby, narrow and stale rental house, Teacher Xiao who slowly got up. When he first woke up, he was always in a daze and not very clear-headed. Last night, many things seemed to have happened. After work, working at the construction site, canceling work, coming back. Wait, before working at the construction site, where did he go? He couldn't remember. He was in a daze for a while, then patted his face hard, looked at the time, and quickly got up. He originally planned to look for a temporary part-time job, but he didn't expect to sleep until noon, and missed the prime time in the morning. "Am I too tired?" Teacher Xiao who rubbed his neck as he walked out of the room. The TV was on, and now it was playing a boring advertisement. Teacher Xiao who frowned, and picked up the remote control to turn off the TV, muttering, Gao Yang, this guy, how many times have I told you to turn off the TV if you don't want to watch it? The electricity is very expensive. He felt that it was necessary to learn the rules of sharing a room with this co-tenant, so he knocked on Gao Yang's door, but there was no response for a long time. Has he gone out? Teacher Xiao, who shook his head, hurriedly ate something and then went out. The part-time job in the morning was cancelled, and there were still jobs in the afternoon and evening, so he had to catch up. After running out of the civilian district, the sunlight was very dazzling, but Teacher Xiao, who felt that his whole body was weak. He felt very energetic and hadn't felt this way for a long time. Maybe it's because I slept enough? He stretched his body, and suddenly his gaze fell on a clothing store on the street. Teacher Xiao, who stared at the clothing store for a long time, and lost his voice. Suddenly, he lowered his head and looked at the unpresentable clothes he was wearing. It was from 7 or 8 years ago, but the quality was very good, and he couldn't bear to change it. He frowned. Subconsciously, Teacher Xiao, who walked towards the clothing store. He suddenly had an idea to change his clothes. End of chapter. Chapter 2381. Fire Cloud High School, Monitoring Room. When the security guard found the box and came back, he found that Red Boy had left. Only the new biology teacher, Lady Nan, was left in the monitoring room, watching the video by herself. It was not the video in the archive room, but something else. Nan. Lady Nan. The security guard's slightly flustered voice sounded. You. What are you looking at? I found it in the drawer. Nan Xiaonan squinted at this time. I thought it was an action movie. It turns out to be a collection of jokes and pranks? Did you edit it? The security guard's face changed a little. At the center of the screen, the video player was playing the content of a teacher being bullied by students in Fire Cloud High School. Itching medicine, splashing dirty water, hanging upside down. There were a lot of things. The lighter ones were beyond the level of pranks, and the heavier ones were almost fatal. And the male protagonist in this collection was Teacher Xiao, who had gone through life and death with Nan Xiaonan. Lady Nan. The security guard swallowed at this time. Can you pretend that you didn't see it? Nan Xiaonan was playing with a CD in her hand at this time. There were many similar CDs in the drawer. The drawer was locked, and it was not an ordinary lock. However, for her who had the star creation technique, there was probably no lock in this world that could be difficult for her. Why did she have to open the lock? She wanted to open it when she saw the lock. Was there a problem? But she didn't expect that there was a collection of videos of Teacher Xiao who being bullied in Fire Cloud High School in the drawer. Why did you cut this kind of thing? Nan Xiaonan asked indifferently. Do you have a grudge against Teacher Xiao who? No. The security guard stammered. It's just personal interest. Although it's not clear whether this is an invasion of privacy. Nan Xiaonan thought for a while and said, I'm ignorant of the law. I don't know whether this is good or not. How about reporting to the school? Or calling the police? Don't worry, if this is allowed, the school won't do anything to you. Later, I'll apologize to you. The security guard almost wanted to cry. If she was just a normal new teacher, he wouldn't be scared, but this Lady Nan came with Miss Red Child. Don't. I didn't do it on purpose. I just wanted to earn some extra money. The security guard said with a sullen face. Someone told me to retrieve these from the surveillance video and then make a compilation of it. Once a week. Who's so bored? Nan Xiaonan couldn't help but frown. What do they want these videos for? Post it on the school's website. The security guard hesitated and said, Lady Nan, don't you know that on the school's BBS, there is a fixed post that will be updated every week? Occasionally, it will be live broadcast. Nan Xiaonan shrugged. She had just joined the school for 2 or 3 days, and it was the weekend. She didn't pay much attention to the school's BBS. Besides, these 2 days, the school's BBS had been blocked because of Wang Badan's death photo. She couldn't log in at all. It should be that after the death photo was leaked, the school immediately blocked the BBS. However, it was unknown whether there was a private network among the students that only they knew. Did the students ask you to do it? Nan Xiaonan couldn't help but become more curious at this time. I'm very curious. Why do the students in this school like to bully an ordinary sparring teacher so much? The security guard wanted to say something but stopped. Nan Xiaonan casually turned the CD on the table. The security guard's face changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and said, In fact, it's not a secret. You will know it sooner or later. The students of Huiyun High School hate Li Jianren. Naturally, they have their reasons. He's crooked? No. The security guard didn't know whether to laugh or cry, although this is one of the reasons. In fact, it's because when Li Jianren was with the team in the extraterritorial battlefield, he didn't save a student and ran away by himself. In the end, when the student was rescued, his soul was almost destroyed. Until now, he is still lying in the hospital and can't wake up. Didn't save a student who died. Nan Xiaonan couldn't help but frown. The security guard nodded. As for the specific situation, we don't know. But I heard that Li Jianren originally had a good chance to be promoted to a coach, but because of this incident, the promotion was cancelled. Later, the investigation report said that in that situation, because there were too many unforeseen circumstances, not to mention saving a student, even saving himself was a problem. He ran away just to protect himself. I heard that he has to support his family. His father's health is not very good. In fact, everyone is just a worker. It's not worthwhile to sacrifice oneself to save a student. I can quite understand Li Jianren, but the students don't think so, right? Nan Xiaonan muttered. The security guard nodded. Probably, students and teachers are born to be in two different camps. Originally, Flaming Cloud High School has a lot of problematic students. I think these students may not really want to denounce this kind of behavior. Maybe they just can't accept it psychologically. In the beginning, it was just silent violence. Later, it became more and more serious. Unknowingly, it became like this. Now, I guess these students have probably forgotten why they bullied Li Jianren. What kind of grudge can a new student have with him? It's just that they are addicted to bullying, and Li Jianren never resisted. As if you're not the bully. Nan Xiaonan suddenly sneered. You're the abuser too. The security guard awkwardly pursed his lips and braced himself. That about the CD? I can pretend that I didn't see these. Nan Xiaonan casually threw the CD back into the drawer. But you have to tell me who paid you to edit these videos. Nan Xiaonan suddenly pulled her collar and then said with a blank expression, Help molestation. What about now? Nan Xiaonan said with a smile. You said, the one who paid you to do this is Wang Badan? Nan Xiaonan couldn't help blinking. She was not too surprised. After all, this girl even dared to bury a bomb. She probably really wanted to kill someone. Lady Nan, don't tell anyone that I told you, especially not the principal and the director. Wang Badan is dead, don't you know? Nan Xiaonan said indifferently. You're right. The security guard smiled bitterly. I planned to burn these CDs secretly. I didn't expect you to find out. Nan Xiaonan thought for a moment and suddenly said, Don't you think that Wang Badan might have been killed by teacher Xiao Hu? After all, she was bullied so much. If she suddenly went crazy, she could do anything, right? I don't dare to say. The security guard's face changed. Lady Nan, you can't say this, but it shouldn't be, right? I heard that when Miss Badan was killed, Li Jianren was still lying in the Huiyun hospital. It seems that Director Wang spent a lot of money to save him. That's true. Nan Xiaonan muttered. According to the time, it was indeed impossible to match. At that time, Li Jianren was still in the hospital and couldn't move. Nan Xiaonan shook her head. She felt that the clue was a little broken. It couldn't be connected for the time being, so she asked, So, Wang Badan is the mastermind of bullying Li Jianren? Why would she take the lead? She and the student abandoned by Li Jianren are good friends? They seem to be lovers. I see. Nan Xiaonan subconsciously looked at the screen. In the video, Teacher Xiao who was being held down by a few students, and his face was covered with a thick stack of paper. He struggled madly, but the students didn't seem to be pushovers. At the same time, a girl with a devilish smile on her face was slowly dripping water onto the paper. Wang Badan. After a while, Teacher Xiao whose struggle gradually slowed down. At this time, the girl tore open the soaked paper. Teacher Xiao who gasped for breath, his face full of relief after surviving a disaster. The girl expressionlessly poured the rest of the water on Teacher Xiao whose face, and finally left with the students. Nan Xiaonan shook her head and turned off the video. Pack a copy of the video in the archive room for me. I'm leaving. Sir, this suit suits you very well. In the clothing store, the sales lady greeted him warmly. Teacher Xiao who silently looked at himself in the mirror. As the saying goes, clothes make a man, but he always felt that he was lacking something. Sir, actually, you have a good figure. You have to be more confident, lift your chest, and your aura will come out. The sales lady's smile became even sweeter. Teacher Xiao who knew what was up with his appearance, but even though he knew it was a compliment, he still couldn't help but want to hear more. How long had it been since he heard compliments from others? When he walked out of the clothing store, Teacher Little who felt a bit of regret. He had bought the clothes and put them on, which was far beyond what he could accept. Looking at the busy street, he felt a similar feeling of regret, as if he had experienced it once before. Looking at the passers-by, he didn't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that the way people looked at him was different. From disdain to ordinary gazes. Should I be more confident? He subconsciously rubbed his messy hair. He didn't know who told him that he had to change his image. Might as well cut my hair too? Be more confident. Be more confident. As if chanting a spell, Teacher Xiao who suddenly felt a strange touch spreading on his skin, and a strange signal rushed along his nerve endings, straight to his brain. Be more confident. Be more confident, he muttered to himself, and unknowingly walked into the center of a hair salon. In the factory building, in the old corridor, from time to time, there seemed to be some low growls of beasts, and the air was even filled with a faint smell of blood. On the walls there were all kinds of spray paint and graffiti. As they walked deeper, they could even hear some shouting. The voices gradually became louder. After a while, Luoqiu and Sir Ma came to an iron gate. In front of the iron gate, a tattooed man with a mechanical prosthesis on his left arm was wolfing down food. Looking through the gap of the air window beside the iron gate, they could see that there was a big space inside, and it was arranged in the shape of a ring. The clamorous shouts came from inside. There was a huge cage on top of the arena, and inside the cage there were two figures wrestling with each other. What are you doing? The tattooed man looked up at Sir Ma and asked. At this time, Sir Ma changed his expression and laughed. Brother, what's the bet today? We're introduced by Brother Violent Dragon of the 9 Dragons billiard room to make a fortune. Boss Luo immediately blinked. Before going upstairs, he remembered that Officer Ma had said not to mention Violent Dragon's name. What was it? What a deep friendship. Violent Dragon? The tattooed man frowned and picked up a communication device, saying, Boss, 2 guys are coming up, saying that they're introduced by Violent Dragon to make a fortune. After a while, the communication device rang again, and the tattooed man pressed a button, saying indifferently, You can go in now. Let's exchange the chips first, the lowest is 30,000. The iron gate was slowly opened, and the moment the iron gate was opened, 2 black figures suddenly rushed out, but they were immediately pulled back by the iron chain. They were like 2 beasts, with a mouth full of sharp teeth, drooling, and almost no consciousness, only violence in their eyes. They were dirty teenagers who were tied up with dog leashes. The tattooed man casually picked up a whip and cracked it in front of the 2 bound youths. Then, he threw out a piece of meat, and the youths immediately snatched it up and ate it. "Why don't you go in?" the tattooed man said indifferently. Sir Ma was used to seeing storms, so he smiled calmly. "Your pets are quite unique." The tattooed man sneered, but didn't say anything. Sir Ma didn't say anything, but pulled Luochio, walking quickly into the ring, and then went straight into the crowd. "The place to exchange chips is on the left. You're going the wrong way." Unexpectedly, the tattooed man suddenly shouted. Sir Ma supported Boss Luo, walking to the left. He supported Boss Luo, and let Boss Luo support him. "Sir Ma, are you not feeling well?" Luochio asked curiously. "You seem to be afraid?" "Nonsense. I'm the #1 detective in Huiyun police station. How could I be afraid of dogs?" Sir Ma said quickly. "They're just 2 monster dogs and—" Hurry up." Boss Luo smiled. He felt that Officer Ma was more amiable like this. "Little Luo, I have a question." Sir Ma suddenly lowered his voice. "How much money do you have? I left in a hurry today and forgot to bring my wallet." Boss Luo blinked. She remembered that in the subworld 003, Uncle Ma's daily pocket money was only about 20 renminbi, and he never had more than 100 RMB note on him. Moreover, he must have hidden it in the waistband of his pants. He modified it himself. "How much do you want?" Luochio thought for a while and said, 29,998 yuan? "Here's 50,000 yuan, take it first." Boss Luo said casually, "There's an ATM over there, if it's not enough, I'll get more." Sir Ma was stunned, and subconsciously looked to the corner, and indeed saw several ATM machines. This little Luo was quite observant, and he didn't notice it before. But this little Luo, no wonder he was sent here by the director. He was indeed a child of a rich family. "Don't worry, I won't let you pay for nothing, and I'll reimburse you later. It's a business trip fee," Sir Ma said directly. In front of the counter, Sir Ma waved his hand. 50,000 yuan chips. "Okay, please wait a moment." A sweet voice came from the window, and it was a beautiful girl in a bunny dress. The girl looked up at the guest, then blinked her eyes, and then opened her mouth slightly. "Luo? Dr. Luo? Why are you here? Didn't you say that you don't go out on weekends?" "Doctor?" Sir Ma was stunned, and looked at the rich little Luo with confusion. Boss Luo said calmly, "You must have mistaken me for someone else. The doctor you said should be my twin brother. I'm the elder brother, Luo Shan." "Luo Shan?" The bunny girl suddenly screamed, and pressed her whole body on the table. "Wow! Then, I can get double the happiness." Ha! The female students of Huiyun High School were so enthusiastic. Chapter 2382. Work. Officer Ma felt that he should educate this female student. Why did she choose to come to this kind of underground fighting place when she couldn't do anything else? The girl's name was Lily. Facing Officer Ma's earnest advice, she didn't care. Instead, she kept looking at Boss Luo. "You guys are really twins, right? You won't lie to me, right?" Lily narrowed her eyes. "I have a good relationship with Dr. Luo. He often gives me a physical examination secretly, and I also know that he has a mole on his abdomen. Can you prove it?" In short, the current female students were good at it. "Really?" Boss Luo smiled casually. "Maybe. After all, we don't see each other often. Maybe it grew during this period." Lily felt interesting. Although this Luo Shan and Dr. Luo of Hot Cloud High looked the same and had similar temperament, there seemed to be some differences. Dr. Luo was like a dream, which always made people yearn for him. This Luo Shan had a trace of mysterious temperament, which made people want to explore him. "Let's bet on Yamagata for the next round." Lily lowered her voice. "Next time, Yamagata will respond. I heard it from the people inside." Inside, Sir Ma. He subconsciously looked at the door of the chip exchange office, nodded, and quickly left with Luochio. This was like a small episode. "Little Luo, aren't you Luochio? Why did you tell the girl that you are Luo Shan?" The school doctor she mentioned? Officer Ma, you may have remembered wrongly. Boss Luo blinked and said, when I introduced myself, I was Luo Shan. Is that so? Officer Ma was stunned and immediately scratched his head. It seems so. By the way, who did the girl say she would bet on? Yamagata. Officer Ma nodded, then looked at the next match list on the bulletin board. Yamagata versus Nine-Striped Dragon. Sir Ma 2. Zero's eyes lit up. It seems that even though I didn't get any information from Oisang Koen U today, I still got something. Do you know who this Nine-Striped Dragon is? Luochio thought for a moment and said, it should be the target of the Fire Cloud Police Department's investigation. Smart. Officer Ma nodded. This Nine-Striped Dragon is a repeat offender. He's always been on the wanted list. Who would have thought that he would actually dare to strut around and compete here? Luochio said, this area should be under the jurisdiction of the East Branch. Fire Cloud Police Department was one of the 4 branches under the Fire Cloud Police Department and the headquarters in the central city. There were 5 branches in total. This time, Officer Ma didn't inform the local branch director when he entered the East Branch. Hearing that, Sir Ma 2. Zero snorted. The wanted list is all over the city. You stay here and watch. I'll go make a call. When the Nine-Striped Dragon comes to the arena, you have to watch him closely. He's a repeat offender. Boss Luo nodded, indicating that he understood. At this moment, the winner had been decided on the arena in the huge iron cage. The loser had fallen into a pool of blood. His body was dragged out of the arena, leaving a trail of blood behind. Someone came to the arena and cleaned up the ground, preparing for the next match. You don't seem to come to this place often. Are you scared? Suddenly, a small head popped out from beside Luochio. He turned his head and saw a bunny girl with her hands clasped behind her back. She was bending her waist slightly as she looked at him. This girl gave people a sense of playfulness. Lily, the girl who worked in the exchange office, a student of Fire Cloud High School. Don't you need to work? Boss Luo asked casually. I'm lazy. The girl stuck out her tongue and said boldly, I want to see you. What do you want? Boss Luo thought for a while and asked. Come with me. Since he entered Huiyun Police Station as a newbie, he didn't lower his sense of presence. If he lowered his sense of presence, Officer Ma 2. Zero would naturally ignore his existence. In other words, he would feel less of a sense of participation. After all, this was his childhood dream. There weren't many things that he was sentimental about or interested in. He didn't have much impulse left in his childhood dream. If he didn't experience it now, he might not be interested in it in the future. But after the realization and experience of his dream, he would have one less thing to care about. Gradually, when there was nothing left, do you want me to help you place a bet? He looked at Lily, the bold girl, and was led by her to a back stairwell. Come on. Lily put her palms together and begged as if she was praying to God. There's a rule here that we can't place bets. It'll be troublesome if we're discovered. But I overheard the manager's plan to tamper with the next game. Why me? Boss Luo asked curiously. Lily said, most of the people who come here are regulars, so it's inevitable that we'll be discovered. Besides, most of them are not easy to negotiate with. Boss Luo said with interest, so, I'm easy to negotiate with, right? Lily used her unique skill as a female student. She grabbed her arm helplessly and lowered her head with shyness and expectation, saying softly, Can you if you can help me this time, I can agree to go on a date with you. You need money urgently? Boss Luo thought for a while and asked. Lily nodded and said pitifully, the school fees of Huiyun High School are very expensive. My team's ranking is not very high, so it's hard to earn a bonus. Please. I'm Dr. Luo's brother. Boss Luo smiled casually. What can I get if I help you? Lily opened her mouth in astonishment. You can win money too. And I can go on a date with you for a day, can I? I can win money with this information. It sounds like I'm the one who's making a profit. Boss Luo nodded. Of course. Lily crossed her arms. You're making a big profit? Many people want to treat me to a meal. Then how much do you want to bet? Boss Luo asked. Lily licked her lips. First, she fished out a chip from her chest. Then, she fished out 2 more chips from her left and right bunny ear headwear. Then, she stretched out her hand too. She suddenly smiled embarrassedly and turned around. After a while, the chips in her hand became 5. It was exactly 100,000 chips. This is the money I earned during this period of work. It's all I have. Aren't you afraid that I won't admit it after I win? Boss Luo suddenly laughed. If you don't admit it, I can go back and blame it on your brother. Lily squinted her eyes and smiled. He can pay with his body. It's a mess. Boss Luo said casually. Lily was stunned. After Boss Luo took away 100,000 chips, he pushed open the door of the back staircase and walked into the arena. She quickly ran to the corridor and took out a small camera from the guardrail. She looked at it. The camera only captured Luo Shan's feet. I adjusted the angle? Lily's face changed slightly. Oh no! My hard-earned money! Lily hurriedly chased after him. She pushed all the way to the betting area and saw that Luo Shan had already started to bet. She didn't dare to go forward, fearing that she would be discovered. After Luo Shan came back with the ticket, she quietly went forward and asked with expectation, You really bought it? Didn't you ask me to help you? Yes. Exactly 100,000? Lily squeaked and subconsciously glanced at the ticket in Luo Shan's hand. Suddenly, her eyes turned black and she almost fell to the ground. She said in a trembling voice, You bought a 9-striped dragon? Oh no, oh no, oh no, my money. Yes, it's all your money. Change the bet. The fight hasn't started yet. It's not too late to change it now. Lily shuddered at once. She grabbed Boss Luo's arm and was about to go there to place the bet. Aren't you afraid of being discovered? Boss Luo asked curiously. I'm going to lose my money, Lily said angrily. At most, I'll work somewhere else. Do you think it's easy to earn 100,000? It's all my hard-earned money. It's very hard to earn it. The bell used for the competition was suddenly rung. Lily's footsteps suddenly froze. Then, the audience of the black boxing competition instantly roared. In this wave of sound, Lily's legs went soft and she directly sat on the ground. She wanted to cry but had no tears. She was dumbfounded. In the ring, the brawny man named Yamagata, as soon as he entered the ring, he crazily suppressed a lean man with a 9-dragon tattoo on his back and crazily attacked. In this ring, there was no rest. The referee wouldn't call for a stop. Only when one side was knocked down and couldn't stand up, or surrendered or died, would the match end. Seeing that Yamagata had the advantage in the beginning, Lily began to cry. She pitifully bit her handkerchief. 1 minute passed, 2 minutes passed, and the 9-striped dragon in the ring was struggling to hold on. He was in a situation where he was constantly being beaten. It's over, it's over, it's really over. In a competition, there are winners and losers. It's very normal. Boss Luo said casually. That's easy for you to say. That's all my money, okay? Lily trembled in despair. Oh no, this time I'm in big trouble because of you. I borrowed more than half of the money. If I don't have the money to pay it back, I'll be caught and thrown into the sea to pay my debts. It's all your fault. You have to take responsibility. I don't care. You've killed me. She was about to hit Boss Luo's chest with Ba Guozhong. But at that moment, the arena suddenly became deathly silent. Lily subconsciously looked towards the ring and saw a figure lying on the ground. His entire chin seemed to have been smashed. His face was distorted, his eyes were white, and he was foaming at the mouth. It was Yamagata, who had the upper hand all this time. The 9-striped dragon miraculously won. Lily opened her eyes wide in disbelief. He won? How is this possible? Shouldn't this match be? It should be Nine Striped Dragon's fake fight, right? Boss Luo smiled faintly. Lily subconsciously nodded. The odds for this match are not very different. I just checked, there are more people holding Yamagata's ticket. Boss Luo shook his head and said, Why do you think there are more people betting on Yamagata? Because. Lily blinked her eyes because she couldn't figure out the reason. Because what? Boss Luo pointed at the chip exchange area. Inside the chip exchange area, several bunny girls were sitting there blankly with pale faces. At the arena, many spectators were looking at these bunny girls with unkind eyes. In a flash, Lily seemed to understand something. Boss Luo said casually, Although I don't know if the management of this arena is very strict, but I don't think you'll be able to hear about the control of the fight. Quick. Lily suddenly quivered and jumped up with joy. Quickly withdraw the money. I won. Boss Luo said, I won. Lily's face slightly changed, nervously staring at the tickets in Boss Luo's hand. That's my bang? With a loud sound, the gate of the arena area exploded. The two beast-like gatekeepers were instantly blown away. At the same time, a fully armed team quickly rushed into the arena area. At the same time, a rumbling sound came from outside. Outside the factory building, two helicopters were sandwiched in front and behind. On the helicopters, there was a sign of the Huiyun City Police Station. You've been surrounded, all of you squat down with your hands on your head. At the exploded gate, Officer Ma in a yellow windbreaker strode in. Nine Striped Dragon, you can't run away. On the arena, the skinny tattooed man, who had just enjoyed the victory for a few seconds, sneered. He punched with both fists, and his whole body exploded with a powerful airwave. But at this moment, a ripple visible to the naked eye suddenly spread out. It was like some kind of air wave, but also like some kind of sound wave. On the stage, the ferocious nine-tattooed dragon instantly lost all strength. Spiritual Energy Simulator. The nine-striped dragon suddenly knelt on the ground in pain. His body seemed to be under heavy pressure, and the blood vessels on his forehead were bulging, but he couldn't stand up. Quickly run. Catch him. Someone screamed, and the scene instantly became chaotic. The audience began to rush, trying to find a chance to escape in the chaos. These are all people who participated in illegal gambling. Maybe there are a lot of fugitives. Don't let any of them go. Officer Ma waved his hand. In the chaos, Lily was seen crawling on the ground, quickly crawling to the chip exchange counter. She didn't have time to count the bills, which were still on the exchange counter, into her body and muttered, This is today's salary, this is tomorrow's salary, this is next week's salary. Damn it, don't see me. Stinky cop, how dare you behave atrociously in my place? A furious roar was heard. On the upper floor of the arena, a bald man, whose whole body was wrapped in a silver-gray air shield, slowly descended. The special police's guns couldn't even break through this person's light shield. Sang Kun. Officer Ma suddenly narrowed his eyes, feeling the strong pressure from the bald man, and couldn't help but secretly drip a drop of cold sweat. At this time, the communicator sounded with an urgent voice, Officer Ma, the simulator can't work on the target. He has an anti-simulator on him. I can see it. Officer Ma quickly responded. At this time, the bald man in the light shield sneered, pulled off an earring from his ear, and directly threw it in front of the nine-striped dragon. The nine-striped dragon instantly took the earring, and stood up with a hideous smile. The bald man sneered at this time, Why don't you just obediently draw water every month? Why do you have to be righteous friends? Since you're here, then none of you can run away. Suddenly, a fist silently appeared in front of the bald man. Not only did the fist instantly break the bald man's air shield, but it also directly hit the bald man's cheek, knocking him down on the arena. Officer Ma couldn't help but widen his eyes. This guy who punched Little Luo? Boss Luo, who knocked Isang Kuan down on the arena with one punch, jumped onto the arena at this time. Seeing this, the nine-striped dragon gritted its teeth, and directly attacked Boss Luo like an evil dragon coming out of the sea. Boss Luo calmly punched, as if it was a fake punch, and casually suppressed the nine-striped dragon. Sang Kuan shook his head, and directly joined the battle without caring about the 2 against 1. In the arena, Little Luo beat up 2 people by himself. Xiao Luo, what stage are you at in your police team martial arts? Level 3. Officer Ma used to think that it was probably level 3 of the intermediate level or at most level 3 of the advanced level Heavenbreaker. Damn, this is level 3 of the Great Grandmaster? After a while, Sang Kuan and the nine-striped dragon both fell down. Most of the joints in their bodies were dislocated. Little Luo clapped his hands and lightly jumped down from the arena. He walked to Officer Ma, saluted in a very standard manner, and said seriously, reporting, "The criminals have been successfully captured. If the one standing in front of me is you, Father, this chapter ends." Chapter 2383. Sir, the criminal has been caught. Looking at the Little Luo who had just beaten up 2 felons, Sir Ma nodded after a long while. Oh. Good. Well, good job. Keep up the good work, don't be too proud. What level are you at? Level 3. Boss Luo blinked. Sir Ma, didn't you ask me? I thought that an experienced senior like you would be able to see through my depth with a single glance. Of course. Sir Ma 2.0 nodded. I was just testing you, Where did the director find such a tough guy from? How did he beat up Sang Kuan with one punch? He didn't call for the special police force of Huiyun City to come with such a big lineup because he knew that Sang Kuan was one of the top 10 experts among the underground forces of Huiyun City. At this moment, 2 men were stopped by the SWAT team. They seemed to be arguing with each other and wanted to come in. Sir Ma and Luochio looked over at the same time. Officer Ma snorted coldly. The people from the Eastern Branch are so fast. Are they from the East Branch? Boss Luo asked curiously. Officer Ma snorted. Sang Kuan is swaggering around here. As long as the people in the East Branch aren't blind, they will be able to see it. It's said that the 4 divisions under the headquarters are rotten, and I know they are rotten, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. Come with me, let's meet them. Sir Ma straightened his chest and walked over, followed by Luochio. Sir Ma 2.0 became more confident. There were 2 officers from the Eastern Branch. One of them was Lu Jiaming, nicknamed Big Lu. Actually, he was at the same level as Officer Ma. However, one was in the headquarters while the other was in the branch, so there was a difference in the right to speak. As the saying went, a powerful dragon couldn't defeat a local snake. Officer Lu from the Eastern Branch was quite handsome. He looked like a high-quality human man. He was mature, charming, and not greasy. The 2 sheriffs had probably met at some high-level party or annual gathering and got to know each other. Both sides were quite polite. Big Lu, you want me to release Sang Kuan? Sir Ma frowned. Did I mishear you? It's my fault. Big Lu sighed apologetically. I didn't make it clear. Old Ma, Sang Kuan is an important informant of mine. He is participating in an important operation in the East Branch. You can't take him away at this time. However, you can capture 9 tattooed dragon and report back to your superiors. Otherwise, you even called the SWAT team this time. Getting nothing will arouse suspicion. Action. Officer Ma frowned deeper. What action? Do you mean it's a yes? It's a secret operation. The director of the East Branch is in charge of it. Big Lu said seriously. I'll write a report and ask our director to explain it to your HQ. Sir Ma smiled. That's bad. I've already reported Sang Kuan to the director. He just praised me, so I have to take him back. Big Lu's eyes moved, but he didn't change his expression. Officer Ma, You came here with the help of the SWAT team. You didn't even inform us beforehand. Isn't it inappropriate? With such a big battle, it's already a mess outside. Sir Ma smiled. I know. When I go back, I'll definitely say that this operation was completed with the help of your HQ. Don't worry, I won't make it difficult for you. Officer Ma, Sang Kuan is indeed a very important part of our plan. We can't make any mistakes. Big Lu suddenly said, You answer the phone first. Sir Ma frowned. He looked at the phone and suddenly had a bad feeling. He didn't answer the phone in front of Big Lu, but walked away slightly and covered his voice. What's the situation? On the other end of the phone, the director's voice was heard. Ma howd. What's the situation with you? Why didn't you ask for my permission to use the SWAT team? And why did you come to their HQ to make a scene? The director of the HQ even complained to me. I caught Sang Kuan. I heard about it. Hurry up and release Sang Kuan. The director of the Eastern District has already reported to me that this is part of their operation. Find a reason to release him first. Sir Ma was stunned and looked at the calm Big Lu. He rolled his eyes and suddenly lowered his voice. No way, Sang Kuan is a pawn of the HQ? What should we do? It's not the first time you've caused trouble. I can't protect you every time. I really don't know. Sir Ma sighed at this time. How could I know that the person Miss Red Boy wants to catch is a pawn of the HQ? What are you talking about? We suspect that Sang Kuan is related to the case Miss Red Boy wants to investigate, so we came to find him. Otherwise, why would I mobilize the SWAT team? Wouldn't it be better to have afternoon tea in the HQ? Sir Ma sighed again. Brother-in-law, what should we do? Should we release Sang Kuan or not? Or, can you help me explain to Miss Red Boy? Arrest him. Arrest him even if the King of Heaven comes. He must be arrested. The director screamed. Do you have enough manpower? Sang Kuan is a felon. I'll send 3 more SWAT teams to him. Virtue. Sir Ma rolled his eyes and hung up the phone directly. He went back to Big Lu again. Sorry, Big Lu. Our director said that he must be taken away today. Officer Lu's smile didn't change. He just gently held Officer Ma's wrist and said in a low voice, Officer Ma, this Sang Kuan is a felon. You must be careful when you escort him. Thanks for your concern. Sir Ma pushed him away and then waved his hand. Let's go. Sang Kuan and 9-striped dragon will be escorted by helicopter. Put on masks and hand over the others to Big Lu. If you meet that Officer Lu again, you should pay more attention to him. He got promoted quickly and won the championship of the Huiyun City Police Martial Arts competition. It won't be long before he's transferred to the HQ. Sir Ma said to little Luo casually. At this time, little Luo suddenly patted his arm. What's wrong? Nothing, just some dirt. Little Luo smiled. I patted it away. It seems to be a bug. Oh. Sir Ma didn't care about it. He ordered the SWAT team to leave and took away some documents from Sang Kuan's office. Boss Luo lowered his head and looked at his palm. In his palm, there was a ladybug the size of a watermelon seed, a mechanical ladybug. He clenched his fist and then loosened it again. The ladybug in his palm slowly flew out. At this time, the little ladybug was a real, living ladybug. Let me go. I'm just an employee, I don't know anything. Suddenly, there was a loud noise. Boss Luo looked at the source of the noise and saw a bunny girl being dragged by a member of the SWAT team, Lily. You're hurting me. The girl cried out, feeling wronged. Be quiet. Don't play tricks. The steel man from the special police didn't seem to mind at all. However, he couldn't help but stop in his tracks and reveal a look of respect. Little Luo. This was a fierce man who beat up Sang Kuan and 9-striped dragon. When little Luo beat them up, he beat them one by one as if it was a fake fight. He admired this kind of strong man who could crush his opponents. Little Luo, sir. The SWAT team shouted enthusiastically. Let's fight when you have time. I'm Wang Dong from the SWAT team. This girl is my friend, can you let her go first? Little Luo Sir asked casually. Your friend? Wang Dong was stunned. Little Luo Sir nodded. Actually, she also contributed to the success of this operation. Wang Dong understood. I know, she's your informant. I know what to do. I hope you can keep it a secret, Little Luo Sir said in a low voice. Wang Dong zipped his mouth and silently let go of Lily. After that, he saluted and went to put on the headgear for the other guys. Follow me. Little Luo Sir looked at Lily and said. At the back of the stairwell at the beginning. Lily lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Boss Luo. She was present at that time, and was also a witness to the beating of Boss Isang Kun and 9 tattooed dragons. How could she have thought that this refined, slightly thin and weak young man, who should have been the kind of young man who didn't need to work hard to find, actually had such a terrifying power hidden in his body? Boss Luo Sir said casually, Sorry, I ruined your job. It's okay. Lily didn't dare to be presumptuous at this time. The gangsters in Huiyun City were naturally not afraid, but the civilians still had a natural fear of the government. You can leave from here. Boss Luo Sir said. You really let me go? Lily Sir opened her mouth in surprise. She thought that the righteous police officer would inevitably teach her a lesson, and even inform the school and call her parents. Then you can stay. Boss Luo Sir chuckled. Understood. Get out now. Lily Sir didn't look back and directly rushed down the stairs. Wait a minute. Boss Luo Sir suddenly stopped her. Lily Sir was startled. She nervously turned around and looked up, thinking that he had changed his mind again. But she saw a coat falling down and covering her body. Lily Sir Little Luo Sir had left at the back of the stairwell. The coat was still a little warm. It was close to her bare skin. Lily Sir subconsciously tightened it and muttered, Damn it! I was seduced by him. She stayed in the corridor for a while before taking a deep breath. She patted her cheeks with both hands and seemed to be sober. Immediately, the girl licked her lips and took out a pile of wrinkled banknotes from all over her body. After flattening them, she licked her fingers and counted them. 97,000, 98,000, 99,000, 100,000? What? Not a cent more, not a cent less. She bet 100,000 Little Luo Sir for herself. She thought that she had won and was so happy that she wanted to give herself to him. In the end, the SWAT team came and Oisang Koan was taken away. In the midst of the chaos, she robbed the chip exchange office. Other than that, she could at least earn a sum of money. She didn't expect that in the end it was all for nothing. For some reason, he felt that this day had been very magical. Luo Shan, Dr. Luo's brother? The girl muttered as she went downstairs. I don't know if he has a girlfriend. Little Luo, come with me. Sang Kuan Sir was directly taken to a helicopter. Sir Ma pressed his cap and went up. He turned back and signaled Little Luo to follow him. Sang Kuan Sir's anti-simulation device had been removed. At this time, he was in a state of confinement and had no ability to resist. However, Sir Ma still felt that Little Luo would be more confident, at least in front of Little Luo. A Sang Kuan Sir couldn't be arrogant. After Little Luo sat down, Sir Ma looked at Sang Kuan Sir, who was shackled by special shackles. A Sang Kuan Sir, you didn't expect to be caught, right? Sang Kuan didn't think so. His pair of snake-like eyes looked back and forth on Officer Luo's body. I'm just afraid that your net is not firm enough, and will be broken soon. I remember your faces. Don't be stubborn. Sir Ma sneered. I know someone will protect you. But Delu came and let me take you away. The person behind you may not be able to help you. Sang Kuan Sir turned his head disdainfully. Sir Ma said calmly, Sang Kuan Sir, do you know why we have to go through so much trouble to come here from another district to catch you? Sang Kuan Sir patted his bald head. There are mosquitoes. What fat mosquitoes? Sir Ma said indifferently, There was a murder case in the Central District the day before yesterday. Don't tell me you don't know what happened. Sang Kuan Sir was stunned and then said arrogantly, "What does the murder case in the Central District have to do with me? Just because of this, you specially came here? Do you have nothing better to do? Are you going to put the blame on me if a random person dies outside?" The heart of the victim was dug out. "Sang Kuan Sir, you are secretly involved in organ smuggling, right?" Sir Ma said indifferently. "Those boxers who died in your ring must have contributed a lot to you, right? When they were alive, they had to fight for you to earn money. When they died, they even had to sell their bodies to you. You really ate everything." "Ah, sir. At most, I'm in charge of illegal fights." "Don't talk nonsense without evidence," Sang Kuan Sir sneered. "Illegal fights at most, I'll be in prison for a few years." "Do you know who died?" Sir Ma suddenly asked. Sang Kuan Sir didn't care. He directly crossed his legs and picked his ears. "The victim is a female student from Huiyun High School," Sir Ma said indifferently, "and this female student happened to be a member of the team of Mayor Tai of Huiyun City. They were very good friends." Sang Kuan Sir's face slightly changed. Why didn't he know the stakes in this? Anyway, this female student's heart was dug out. "You're in the smuggling business," Sir Ma said directly. "Think about it yourself. Anyway, that lady has come in person." "Are you trying to scare me?" Sang Kuan Sir sneered. "I grew up scared, sir." At this moment, the cabin of the helicopter suddenly shook. After the shaking, the atmosphere in the cabin became extremely solemn. Sang Kuan secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. Because in the instant he swayed, a guy had already silently appeared by his side. It was a black-jacketed monkey with his hand on his shoulder. "Sun Ming! You!" Sir Ma suddenly jumped up, and his head directly hit the ceiling of the cabin. The person who appeared silently in the cabin was none other than Sun Ming, the boss of Fire Clouds, Gokuraku Jodo. How did he come in? Sir Ma could only guess that this was a very advanced escape skill. This Sun Ming was said to have learned from Tilting Moon Mountain. His teacher, the owner of Tilting Moon Mountain, was one of the top masters of Pale Blue. Niu Daguang and Tai Luosha were also students of Tilting Moon Mountain. It was easy to imagine how terrifying the hidden power of Tilting Moon Mountain was. Sir Ma could laugh in front of Sun Ming, but secretly he was very afraid of him. "Don't be nervous, we're sharing information." Sun Ming glanced at Officer Ma with a smile and then ignored him. Instead, he patted a Sang Kuan Sir's shoulder. "Do you know who I am?" "I know." Sang Kuan Sir didn't dare to breathe loudly. Sun Ming said indifferently, "I'm also investigating a murder case." "Ah Kuan, what do you know?" "Just tell this Officer Ma. We're good citizens, police and citizens should cooperate, okay?" I know." Sang Kuan Sir swallowed his saliva. Only then did Sun Ming continue to put his hand on Sang Kuan's shoulder calmly and said with a chuckle, "Officer Ma, ask away." Sir Ma glared at him, clearing his throat. When he was about to speak, his phone vibrated. He took the phone and jumped up immediately, hitting the roof of the cabin. What, a new victim? In the factory building. In a black police car. Officer Liu was holding a telescope, looking at the helicopter that had flown far away. Beside him, his subordinate was talking to someone on the phone with a humble attitude. After a while, the subordinate finished the call and whispered to Officer Liu, "Boss said not to let Sang Kuan Sir speak." "Then do it." Officer Liu put down the telescope and said indifferently. The subordinate took out a small remote control button, pressing it directly. Officer Liu closed his eyes, as if he was listening to something. But after a while, Officer Liu opened his eyes in confusion, frowning and looking at his subordinate beside him. But he saw his eyes wide open, showing a frightened expression. Liu's frown deepened. He followed his subordinate's gaze and saw a small, red ladybug on the hollow platform in front of the car, staring at him. The ladybug suddenly opened its wings. "Let's go," Officer Liu shouted, breaking open the door and rolling out without saying anything. His subordinate also rolled out from the other side of the car. The two rolled out of the street and hurriedly used their chi, crossing their hands in front of their bodies to resist instinctively, but after a while there was no movement in the car. Officer Liu opened the door with a gloomy face, reaching out to grab the ladybug on the center console. "It's alive?" Suddenly, a burning sensation came from his palm. Liu opened his palm in pain, and the ladybug instantly turned into a wisp of fire and flew away. He stared blankly at his burned palm, and couldn't help but frown, gradually becoming absent-minded. Chapter 2384. The transport plane with the logo of the Flat Sky Group slowly landed. At the construction site of the small forest hotel in the central forest of Fire Cloud City, only the security force of the Flat Sky Group remained, a privatized force comparable to a regular army. The place where the transport plane finally landed was the bottom of the deep pit dug by the construction site. At this time, a haggard man wearing a wrinkled white coat and cotton slippers walked out of the transport plane. He had a small bunny doll hanging on his chest. He looked haggard, but his eyes were full of spirit. The man looked at the entrance of the pit and said in surprise, "I wouldn't have known if I didn't look." It turned out that they had already dug so deep. "Sure enough, you can really do whatever you want with money. Dr. Li, please come over here. We have already sealed off the place where the accident happened. No one can enter or leave." A serious-looking man with a crew cut was respectfully standing to the side. They had no choice but to attack. This Dr. Li was Niu Dagwang's guest of honor, a big shot who could live on the 99th floor of the Flat Sky Group. At the same time, he was also the person in charge of the technical development department of the Flat Sky Group. In addition, Dr. Li had another major source of income for the Flat Sky Group: the recovery and repair of medium and high-end magical equipment. It could be said that this Dr. Li was a duck that could lay golden eggs in Niu Dagwang's hands. Today, they had specially invited Dr. Li from the group because they suspected that a treasure had been dug out from the underground of the small forest construction site. Therefore, they hoped that Dr. Li could come and take a look in person. The cave that had collapsed due to the accident had been reopened and reinforced. A group of armed guards escorted Dr. Li to the site of the accident. The scene before their eyes was unforgettable for the guards. What they saw was a huge palm, like the palm of a statue. It stretched out from the depths of the ground, its 5 fingers in a clenched position. Even so, the surrounding air was filled with an unbearably dense, almost liquefied, baleful aura. The entire cave was now filled with a purple-red light emitted by the baleful aura. As soon as they stepped into this place, illusions appeared one after another. It was as if there were thousands of sounds of fighting and killing shaking their minds. Even if the guards were equipped with the first mine-type defensive equipment they had developed, they couldn't completely filter it at this time. And this baleful aura seemed to be escaping from this palm. "Dr. Li, it's this palm. What's the problem?" "It's a big problem," Dr. Li said seriously. The serious-looking man with a crew-cut frowned. "What's the big problem?" "When I left the house, I forgot to make some instant noodles. It must be burnt by now." Dr. Li sighed. I'll buy you a truck full of them." The man with the crew cut gritted his teeth. "You work first." Dr. Li stretched and walked to the front of the giant palm. He didn't have any protection on him, so he directly reached out to touch the giant palm. His fingers smeared some dust on the palm, and then directly put it into his mouth to taste. Cold sweat trickled down everyone's forehead as they watched. The fiendish aura on the petrified palm was even more potent than poison. It's a little salty." Dr. Li muttered, "It's hot." "Doctor." Okay, I'll study it seriously." Dr. Li smiled, then snapped his fingers. At this time, several guards actually moved a single bed from the outside. Under the command of Dr. Li, they directly placed it under the huge petrified palm. Then, under the dumbfounded gazes of the crowd, Dr. Lee directly lay down, covered himself with a quilt, and soon fell asleep. What are they doing? Shoo, don't disturb the doctor's sleep. At this time, a guard said in a low voice, Dr. Lee has the magical power of sleep and can do many things in his dreams. It'll be fine when he wakes up. Then, how long will he sleep? The person in charge of the construction site asked subconsciously. That's hard to say. The guard shook his head. The doctor's highest record is to sleep continuously for 50 days. But at that time, the doctor successfully repaired a quasi-immortal artifact, and finally sold it for a sky-high price of 1 million immortal crystals at the auction in Kunlun. They listened as if they were listening to a story. As they listened, they were driven out of the cave by the guards. After everyone left, they found that there was only a slight snoring sound in the cave of the petrified palm. As the snoring sound continued, some strange scriptures began to appear on Dr. Lee's body. The scriptures began to flow on his body, gradually turning into a big cocoon, completely enveloping him. In any case, the construction site of Little Forest officially entered an indefinite state of suspension. Don't look, let's disperse. There won't be any work for a few days. We'll announce when the work will resume. At this time, several foremen were driving away the casual workers who came to try their luck. Hearing that there wouldn't be any work for a few days, many people immediately left dejectedly. Most of the people who chose this kind of temporary work were homeless people who had given up on life and lived aimlessly. Their way of life was very simple. They would work for a day and then rest for 2 or 3 days. If they ran out of money, they would work for another day and then rest for a few days. Since these homeless people liked to stay around a square called Sanha at the outermost periphery of Infinite City, they occupied the free resources around the square, so they were also called Sanha gods. Brother, you don't look like a person who wants to do this kind of work, right? Among the crowd that was gradually dispersing, a Sanha god looked at the man who was dressed nicely next to him in surprise. It was obvious that the man had just bought the clothes, and he probably hadn't worn them many times. He might even have just gotten his hair done because he could smell the scent of the shampoo, and it was probably a high-end shampoo. Oh, nothing, I was just curious about what happened here, so I came to have a look. After the well-dressed man muttered to himself, he quickly walked into the crowd and disappeared in a short while. Seeing this, the prospective Sanha god didn't pay much attention to it. He just looked at the back of the well-dressed man with slight envy. He seemed to have seen this back somewhere before. He didn't recognize me? In the forest, the well-dressed man silently watched the would-be Asanha great god leave. He was deep in thought. He was none other than the new Xiao sensei. After waking up today, he didn't only spend a lot of money to buy a new outfit, he also went to the hair salon. With the help of his sister Tony, not only did he get a membership card, he even made a full set of hair salon. He couldn't squander like this anymore. Teacher Little Tiger hurriedly ran to the construction site to see if the work had resumed. But things didn't go as he wished. He lowered his head to look at the high-end clothes and muttered, I wonder if I can recycle them. Teacher Little Tiger walked out of the central forest discouraged. Saturday had already passed for half a day, and he didn't even have lunch. After wasting half a day, he still couldn't find a part-time job. He foolishly waited for the arrival of the bus, looking up at the many tall buildings. It seemed that there was no place for him in the bustling Huiyun city. It's a waste of time to go back. Maybe I should look around to see if there are any temporary jobs. Teacher Little Tiger subconsciously opened the collection app, and on the interface, he could easily see the image of a software. There was a big word, Hua, on it. This was the software of Huiyun High School's form. Teacher Little Tiger hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he didn't open it. He hadn't opened the school form for a long time. Not for any other reason, but simply because there were some things that he didn't want to see. Anyway, those videos made by his students were posted on the forum every day, and there were even updates every week. There were even occasional live broadcasts. Watching them was annoying. Suddenly, a flash of light lit up in front of Teacher Little Tiger. He stood up abruptly, looking around nervously and vigilantly. He didn't know when, but not far away, a fashionably dressed woman was nodding and smiling at him. The woman's hand was holding a camera. That fashionably dressed woman's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. She thought for a moment, then walked directly to Teacher Little Tiger, saying apologetically, "I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I just saw something special about you, so I couldn't help but take a picture. I didn't expect you to have such a big reaction. You don't seem to like people taking pictures of you?" Teacher Little Tiger slowly sighed, shaking his head and saying, "No one likes to be taken secretly." That wasn't just a reaction of dislike. The fashionably dressed woman thought, then blinked her eyes, revealing a sweet smile. She took out a business card from her handbag. "Hello, my name is Tong Xian, I'm a product manager. This is my business card." Teacher Little Tiger subconsciously took a look at the business card and said in surprise, "Flat Sky Group. It's just a brand company under the group." A fashionably dressed woman. Tong Xian smiled casually. "The business card is custom made by the company, used to make themselves look good." "That's still very impressive." Teacher Little Tiger shook his head. "Even if it's just a subsidiary company under the group, it's still a high position, far from what a small sparring teacher like me can compare to." "Sir, what's your name?" Tong Xian suddenly asked. "Xiao. Li Jianren." "Xiao Li Jianren. Li Jianren." Teacher Little Tiger smiled bitterly, "But usually my friends call me Little Tiger." "Xiao who?" Tong Xian blinked and said, "Mr. Li, do you have a job now?" Teacher Little Tiger opened his mouth. Facing a woman like Tong Xian, he subconsciously said, "I'm a teacher at Hoi Yun High School." "I didn't expect Mr. Li to be a high school teacher." Tong Xian's eyes lit up. "I'm sorry for my rudeness, Teacher Li. I apologize again for my offensive behavior. If possible, can you give me a chance to apologize? I want to have a meal with you." What kind of development is this?" Teacher Little Tiger looked at the fashionably dressed woman in front of him with a face of discomfort. His throat subconsciously made a sound. "Have a meal?" "Yes." Tong Xian smiled. "I originally came here to collect the scenery, but I forgot the time while walking. I was planning to find a place to eat." "Teacher Li, you won't refuse a woman's invitation, right?" She stood quietly, her big eyes seemed to be able to speak. The professional woman's dress seemed to hide a tempting treasure, making people want to explore it. "Lovely and moving." This was a sentence that appeared in Teacher Little Tiger's mind. There seems to be a good place to eat skewers." "Skewers?" "I mean, there's a good restaurant next to the skewers, focusing on the theme of forest scenery." "Sounds good." Child's heart smiled. "I'll leave it to you. I'm not dreaming." Teacher Little Tiger looked at the girl who seemed to be glowing. "She invited me." "Restaurant. Let's go to the restaurant." "You stay here." Sir Ma glared at Sang Kuan, then glanced at Sun Ming. "You're in charge of watching him?" Mr. Sun waved his hand. "It's not appropriate for me to appear at the scene of your case, right?" Sir Ma rolled his eyes as if to say, "You're already in the cabin, holding Sang Kuan's shoulder, what's there to be embarrassed about?" Officer Ma shook his head, said goodbye, and then left the cabin with little Luo. At this time, the cabin was parked on a temporary tarmac. The location of the first murder was a bustling commercial street in the downtown area. After receiving the news, Sir Ma didn't have time to take with Sang Kuan back to the headquarters. Instead, he went directly to the scene of the murder. Anyway, Sang Kuan had told him what he wanted to say on the way. As for whether or not it was appropriate for Sun Ming to be in charge of Sang Kuan, there was nothing inappropriate about it. Sun Ming's background was simply frightening. "Is that all?" little Luo suddenly asked. Sir Ma too. Zero knew what little Luo was asking. He shook his head and sighed. Little Luo, the justice we can maintain is only within our authority. If it exceeds this scope, then it will be the time when we can't do anything. You're still young, and there are many things you don't know. You have to know that these troublemakers on the blue continent all have a door in the sky. Sir Ma even looked at the sky with awe. The sky. Officer Luo also looked at the sky. It was clear and boundless. Sir Ma shook his head again. Although it's within our authority, if we abuse our authority, we'll lose this little justice. Work hard. Little Luo nodded, and suddenly said in a low voice, Officer Ma, don't worry, I won't let you lose this little land of justice. Sir Ma too. Zero was stunned. This kid is so hot-blooded, he has potential. I wonder if he has a girlfriend. Speaking of which, I have a niece who is about to get married. At this moment, a policeman on duty trotted to them. The two of them stopped chatting and walked into the crime scene. It was also in the depths of an alley, but it was not as exaggerated as the alley where Wang Badan's body was found. Everywhere was stained with blood. Sir Ma came to the body at once. After mentally preparing himself, he lifted the cloth that covered the body. Because of Wang Badan's example, Officer Ma was fearless this time. Oh my God! This was a corpse whose head had been cut off. The head of the deceased was not lost. Instead, it was held in the arms of the deceased. As for the head that was cut off, the eyes of the deceased had been dug out, and there were 2 bloody holes where the eye sockets should have been. Her eyes? Sir Ma took a deep breath and asked. In her hands. A police officer at the scene responded with lingering fear. At this moment, Officer Luo opened the palm of the deceased that was holding the head. There was a turbid eyeball embedded in the palm of the deceased. So did the left and right hand. Chapter 2385. Later, the medical examiner from the General Administration of Medical Examiners came. It was the real medical examiner, Old Fong. He was discovered by a young police officer. When he was discovered, Old Fongzheng was lying in the trunk of his car. He was only wearing a pair of shorts and a pair of black men's stockings. His entire body was tied up and his mouth was gagged. Due to how embarrassing he looked when he was discovered, Old Fong had no choice but to bribe the police officer who discovered him and pretend that nothing had happened. He felt that he was robbed, because all his belongings were gone. Old Fong didn't want to let it go, but it was too shameful. He wanted to take revenge, but he had to do it in his own way. If his friends were robbed, the thief had to dispose of the stolen goods. After all, how could he survive if he was robbed in his own workplace? Old Fong, how is it? Was the victim's heart dug out too? Seeing that Old Fong finished his crazy attack, and took off his gloves, Officer Ma came forward and asked. Officer Luo was beside him. 2. The medical officer was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, Yes, the heart was indeed removed. It was torn open from the back. Looking at the position of the wound, it should have been taken out directly with the hand or something like that. The person probably wore gloves, so there were no clues left. Sure enough. Sir Ma frowned. Wang Badan's heart was also taken out from the back in the same way. What did old Ma say? Wang Badan? I didn't cut Wang Badan. The medical examiner was confused. But why didn't they sew the hands and feet together but only cut off the head? Officer Ma too. Zero was puzzled. Are they not the same murderer? When it comes to suturing, the skull was actually sutured. At this moment, Old Fong said with a heavy expression, because his hands were covered, he wasn't discovered. The head was sewn directly onto his chest, but the eyeballs were stuffed directly into his palms. When he said this, Old Fong was also slightly depressed. He had been in the business for many years and had seen all kinds of murder cases, but he had never seen such a strange way of killing someone. Recalling Wang Badan's death, Old Fong thought for a while and said, I feel that the murderer was trying to express something, a bloody performance art? Officer Ma shook his head and asked, What's the time of death? The body is completely stiff. The estimated time of death is between 9 and 12 hours. Old Fong shook his head, but the time of death can't be accurately determined unless we can confirm that there's no magic power left in the body. At this moment, a young policeman hurried in. Officer Ma, the victim was killed after 12 o'clock last night. What did you find? Officer Ma frowned. At this time, the police officer brought in a young man with a slightly pale face. There was a string of scissors hanging on the young man's waist. He's a hairdresser in a hair salon nearby. The policeman said, we found him when we were investigating. According to him, he had done the victim's hair last night. According to the expense record, the victim should have left the hair salon at 11:56 p.m. last night. Doing hair until 12 o'clock? What kind of hair are you doing? Officer Ma frowned. It was unknown what old Ma, who claimed to be the most ruthless detective in Fire Cloud HQ, was like when he was young. When he frowned, he looked rather gloomy. The hairdresser said nervously, Officer, doing hair isn't just a simple cut. She had many requests, so she did it until very late. We didn't do anything. The store's surveillance cameras recorded it. I didn't know anything. She only spent money in my store. How would I know that she suddenly died? You know the victim? Officer Ma asked with a glare. The hairdresser nodded subconsciously. She came a few times. We were just ordinary customers. We weren't close. I only knew that her surname was Gu, and we all called her Miss Gu. As for who she was, I really don't know. In our line of work, if the customer is willing to talk, we are willing to listen. If the customer isn't willing to talk, we won't take the initiative to ask. Ah, sir, it really has nothing to do with me. However, Officer Ma waved his hand and said, take him back. Take a statement from all the employees of the hair salon. Also, make a copy of the store's surveillance video. Ah, sir, I really did wish to. The hairdresser was taken away. Another one. Officer Ma rubbed his glabella and sighed. Little Luo, what do you think? Little Luo thought from a normal person's perspective and said, the first time, it was the limbs. The second time, it was the head and eyes. The murderer seems to be trying to express something. Express what? Officer Ma hurriedly asked. Little Luo shook his head and said, I don't know. I have a feeling that there's a special purpose. Also, the heart hasn't been removed. Officer Ma muttered, it seems that this matter really has nothing to do with Sang Kuan. He only admitted that he caused the car accident and asked the deceased to donate the heart. But it's a pity that it has nothing to do with this case. At this moment, a shout suddenly sounded. Who are you? Stop. Several policemen nervously pulled out their weapons and aimed at a figure. At this moment, the figure quietly appeared beside the covered corpse. It was a white-haired man in black clothes. He looked quite young. Hearing this, the white-haired man slowly turned his head. At this moment, everyone saw that there was a blood-red vertical tear mark on the left and right of the white-haired man's eyes. His pupils were also a demonic red. Don't be nervous. Officer Ma shouted at this time. He's a helper I invited to assist in the investigation. Put down your weapons. Hearing this, everyone subconsciously put down their weapons, but they still looked at Officer Ma in confusion. At this time, Officer Ma had already walked up to the white-haired man. Little Luo, let me introduce you. This is Shiman Ka, Officer Ma said seriously. He's a detective now. This time, whether we can find the murderer or not depends on Shiman Ka. Hello, Mr. Shiman. Little Luo was always polite no matter who he met. The white-haired man looked at him for a while and nodded. He looked at Officer Ma and said, he came as soon as he received your call. Old Ma, it seems that you're really in big trouble this time. Yes. Officer Ma smiled bitterly. I've told you the details in the email. Do you want to take this job? Shiman Ka said, you know me, as long as there's enough money I'll take any case. As usual, I'll give you a 20% discount. See if you can find any traces first. Officer Ma said. Shimin Ka shrugged at this time and said indifferently, make way. At this time, Officer Ma pulled Officer Xiaoluo and made some space. At this time, Shimin Ka quickly made many hand seals in front of her chest, and finally pressed her palm on the ground. Then a large number of incantations poured into the ground from Shimin Ka's palm and turned into a complicated array. In an instant, a white light flashed, and a Sharpei appeared in the array. And it was a Sharpei wearing a black jacket, with a look of annoyance on its face. Little Luo couldn't help blinking his eyes. It was very interesting. Shimin Ka is a master of summoning. Officer Ma lowered his voice at this time. The summoning beasts he summons have different abilities, especially in tracing traces. This guy is particularly good, but it has a shortcoming, that is, it's always late. Shimin Ka, who was commanding the Sharpei, suddenly said, Officer Ma, it's not that I'm late, it's just that the murders are always known after they happen. Officer Ma smiled embarrassedly. Let's work first, work first. At this time, the Sharpei slowly walked around the corpse, and began to sniff the ground while slowly walking out of the alley. Everyone silently followed behind the Sharpei. After a while, the Sharpei stopped in front of a high-end clock hotel nearby, and stopped, and quickly barked at Shimin Ka a few times. What's the situation? Officer Ma asked. Shimin Ka said. Before the victim appeared in the alley, she came here, and it said there was another smell. It should be the smell of the murderer. You mean, the alley is not the scene of the first murder, and it's very likely that the victim was moved there, but here? Let's go up and have a look. Shimin Ka said casually. Since we're here, we can't just use the toilet, right? I'll leave the negotiation to you, and I'll smoke. Officer Ma rolled his eyes. I'll go in and ask. He even hung his police officer's badge casually. This time, little Luo didn't follow him in. He just looked at the Sharpei who was squatting on the ground and wagging its tail. He took out a few biscuits from nowhere, and it seemed that he wanted to feed it. Shimin Ka leaned against the wall, lit a cigarette, and glanced at it casually. A Nua doesn't eat food given by strangers, and it will treat you as an enemy if you approach it casually. You'd better be small. It seems that it likes you very much. The Sharpei was licking the biscuits with relish at this time, and it directly chewed them up. Was this really his Sharpei? Wasn't it supposed to be cold and insufferably arrogant? Is it called a Nua? Little Luo asked curiously. Mr. Shimin, I saw you summon it. Where was it before it was summoned? Shimin Ka was startled, and subconsciously said, Of course, a psychic beast is in the spirit beast world, or else where can it be? Pale Blue has a very strict control over spirit beasts. It requires a lot of procedures to keep a spirit beast in captivity in the city. If it's only temporarily summoned from the spiritual world, it can save a lot of trouble. And spirit beasts will be more comfortable in their own world. Spirit beast world? Little Luo blinked. Where is the spirit beast world? Shimin Ka couldn't help but frown. The spirit beast world is an independent space of pale blue, and there are many similar independent spaces. Isn't this common sense? This person. Something was wrong. Although he couldn't figure out what was wrong for the time being, his intuition told him that this young man beside old Ma was slightly special, the intuition of a detective. Little Luo looked at the Sharpei with interest and suddenly said, Mr. Shimin, is the psychic technique difficult to learn? I heard from Officer Ma that you're an expert in psychic technique. The hat wasn't high, but it was quite comfortable to wear. Shimin Ka puffed out a mouthful of smoke and said lightly, It's not difficult, but it's not easy either. Basically, it's an immortal technique that you can learn with your hands. Of course, if you want to master it, you need to practice hard. It's the same for any skill. Let me give you some pointers. Shimin Ka looked at the sky mysteriously, but secretly glanced at little Luo from the corner of his eyes. Mr. Shimin, are you good friends with Officer Ma? Little Luo suddenly asked. Wrong line. Shimin Ka slightly complained, and then scratched his head. We're old acquaintances. Didn't he tell you? Little Luo shook his head. Shimin Ka threw the cigarette butt on the ground and stepped on it, saying indifferently, I was with him before I became a detective. As he said, Shimin Ka walked into the hotel. Officer Ma had finished communicating with the hotel, and signaled them to enter. Little Luo smiled casually, and stroked the head of the Sharpei. Good boy. The Sharpei was still squatting there, motionless. Shimin Ka, you trash? Why did you summon me? This person is so scary. Even the Spirit King in the spiritual realm is not as scary as him. I'm so scared. Shoo, Little Luo blinked, and made a gesture of silence to the Sharpei. Am I going to be killed? Am I going to die? Am I going to, Officer Ma? Little Luo also came in. Sir Ma nodded and said directly, we found something. The manager at the front desk said he had some impression. Now he's checking the records. This is the surveillance video of the front desk last night. Let's have a look first. Fast forward, fast forward. A woman who looked very similar to the deceased Miss Gu appeared on the screen, and she pushed open the door of the hotel lobby. That's her. Officer Ma pointed at the screen, and this man. On the screen, Miss Gu was holding on to a man who was wearing a coat and a hat. He looked like a gentleman as they walked into the hall. However, the gentlemanlike man didn't raise his head during the whole process. His face was not captured. This guy knows there's a surveillance camera, so he's avoiding it on purpose. Shimin Ka frowned. He's very careful. Finally, there's a substantial clue. Sir Ma was excited. Officer, we found the records. At this moment, the lobby manager walked over quickly. They booked a themed room on the 13th floor, and they've been booked for 2 days. 2 days? That's crazy. Shimin Ka suddenly asked, what about the room service? The lobby manager looked at the notebook and said, it's written that the guest doesn't need the room service, and didn't check out. Let's go and have a look. Sir Ma said directly. Thank you, Teacher Li, you're really a gentleman. In the Central Forest Park, in the forest-themed restaurant, Teacher Xiao Hu pulled a chair for Tong Xian. It's my pleasure to serve you, Mississippi. Teacher Xiao Hu smiled, revealing what he thought was the most natural smile, and then quietly put his phone into his trouser pocket. On the phone, he had just browsed 10 little details to make a girl satisfied with you on a first date. He kept his smile and casually opened the menu. Then it was unnatural, so expensive. End of chapter. Chapter 2386. Since he was already here, he might as well experience it, even if it was just to enjoy the food. Being accompanied by a beauty was too dreamy for Teacher Xiao Hu. Until now, he still felt a little guilty. But only good food could not disappoint him. Teacher Xiao Hu thought that he would never walk into a restaurant of this standard, so he quickly forgot about his dating routine and focused on eating the food served by the waiter. Child Heart looked at the man in front of her with interest. His appearance was not to be underestimated, and he even gave off a feeling of ugliness. But for some reason, he seemed to have a strange temperament that made everything around him seem to fit his aura. Ugly handsome. As a product manager, she often met with different types of models. Child Heart had seen many handsome men and beautiful women, but this was the first time she saw the legendary ugly handsome man. Aren't you eating? Teacher Xiao Hu suddenly stopped eating, feeling strange. She held her spoon and looked at him silently, looking very serious. The serious female gaze made a ripple in the man's heart that should not have existed. Actually, the food here is not as good as I thought. It's just that the environment here is better. Child Heart suddenly smiled and said, but I don't know why, when I see you eating, I feel that the taste of the food is better. Teacher Xiao Hu could not help but be stunned. Is this the cultivation and EQ of a professional woman? What a strong temptation. Speaking of which, the food here is not that ordinary, right? At least compared to what I usually eat. Why don't we change to something else? Teacher Xiao Hu did not have much experience in solving female questions. The last time he did it was when he was still a student, and he got it wrong. He considered getting a 0, but only saw a 0 and gave up. Teacher Li, are you interested in being a model? Child Heart suddenly asked. Teacher Xiao, who was tasting the mushroom soup and could not help but choke. Model? Sorry, it seems to be too abrupt. Child Heart smiled apologetically and explained. It's like this, our company is doing a promotion for ready-to-eat food, and we have been looking for suitable models and actors. I don't know why, but when I saw you eating, I thought of that new product. Am I suitable? Teacher Xiao, who was surprised. Child Heart said, your attentiveness and attitude towards food is very rare. It's just because it's expensive. Teacher Xiao, who laughed bitterly and shook his head. I've never done it before. I'm afraid I can't do it. I'll have to disappoint you. If it's a problem with the door, you don't have to worry at all. Tong Xian said, it's just shooting an advertisement. It's not a bad thing. Moreover, if the effect is good, it might even improve the image of your school's teachers and students. I believe your school won't stop it. If there are any problems, we can come forward and communicate with your school. If I remember correctly, Huiyun High School should also be under the Pingtian Corporation. We'll find a way. Just treat it as a part-time job. Tong Xian chuckled. The filming period won't be very long. If everything goes well, we might be able to complete it in a day. Besides, we won't mistreat you in terms of remuneration. Part-time job remuneration, that was all he wanted to hear. Am I really suitable? Teacher Xiao, who whispered, am I very ordinary? Tong Xian rested her chin on her hands and looked at him. She said softly, didn't anyone tell you that you are actually very good-looking? Never, ever. Teacher Xiao, who gradually became absent-minded. Of course, Teacher Li, you don't have to rush to answer. Maybe you should consider it? Tong Xian said calmly. I promise you. His brain suddenly heated up and he blurted it out. Then, he felt slightly regretful and nervous. It seemed that such a good thing shouldn't have fallen on his head. The room number 1307. The door was locked, but there was still a Do Not Disturb sign hanging on it. The lobby manager said that this room hadn't been cleaned today. The Shar-Pei dog Anua suddenly barked a few times in front of the door. Shimin Ka translated, it's this room, and Anua said that there's a smell of blood inside. Sir Ma directly used violence to enforce the law. He pressed his palm on the door, and with a burst of strength, he broke the door lock. In an instant, a dark red light was imprinted in everyone's vision. The whole room was in the style of the Diablo series. Even the ambience lights were dark red. Depression and blood coexisted. In the room, there were even a lot of torture instruments, as if it was a torture room. There were even bloodstains on the walls. This is your room? Sir Ma was shocked again. The manager who accompanied them wiped his cold sweat and said, it's all fake. These torture instruments are just models. The bloodstains on the walls are also deliberately painted. It's just paint. This is a kind of theme. Nowadays, people are more playful. Sir Ma directly waved his hand. They immediately walked into the room and stood by the bed. The bed was obviously used. There were even 4 pairs of handcuffs and shackles at the head and the end of the bed. On the wall where the head of the bed was, there was an eye-catching blood splatter. There were also pillows on the back of the bed. At this time, Sir Ma smeared some of the blood on the wall. He rubbed it for a while and sniffed it. Is this also paint? The lobby manager said in a trembling voice, It's blood. Officer Ma snorted and took out his phone. It's me. I'm sending someone to come here and seal off the entrance of the hotel. Well, we might find the crime scene of the first murder very soon. Generally speaking, the murderer will quietly return to the crime scene after committing a crime. How is it? Did you see the murderer? Shimin Ka suddenly came over and asked jokingly. Of course, it was just a joke. The commercial street below was so crowded, how could they find an unknown murderer? While Sir Ma was calling someone, Little Luo had already walked around the room and came to the window. He opened the curtain and looked out. From here, you can see there. Little Luo pointed to the street below. Shimin Ka looked along the direction. You mean, the hairdresser that the victim went to? Little Luo nodded and immediately said, There are many hairdressers around here. Shimin Ka frowned in confusion. As a detective, she instinctively wouldn't miss any pieces of information that seemed to be useless at first glance. But this kind of information was really not very useful. Below was the bustling business district. Eating, drinking, and having fun was a one-stop shop. There were no less than 3 shops of the same type. This was not a strange thing. Soon, the police arrived at the scene and directly blocked the scene, and began to carefully check room 1307. Sir Ma, we found a knife here, and there is blood on it. A police came out of the washroom and said while holding a fruit knife that had been knocked into a sealed bag. Here are some needles and thread. Another police took out something from the drawer of the TV cabinet. At this time, Officer Ma was carefully checking some secret corners of the room, such as the flower pot, the decoration on the wall, and the vent. Old Ma, what are you looking for? See if there are any pinholes that can be secretly photographed. If someone installed a pinhole, then we can solve the case directly, Sir Ma said with a shrewd look. Shimin Ka rolled her eyes, pointing at Sir Ma too. Zero's nose and laughed. You King understand? Sir Ma snorted disdainfully, and continued to look for his pinhole lens. Shimin Ka chuckled, squatting down and whispering to Arnold, Go, find the source of that man's smell. After a while, the Sharpei rushed out as if it didn't want to stay in the room for a moment. This made Shimin Ka a little dumbfounded. She originally planned to use the canned meat to encourage Arnold to take out, but when she took out half of it, her hands stopped. Damn dog, when did it become so active? Sir Ma, we found the citizen information of the victim. A police officer hurried in. When room 1307 was registered, they used the ID of the victim, which greatly reduced the difficulty of the search. Soon, they got the result. A few people came forward and listened to the searching police quickly say, The deceased is called Gu Yao, 24 years old, unemployed, but she had 2 criminal records, both of which were for illegal sex business. Call girl? Sir Ma frowned, rubbing his chin. The first victim was a student, and this time it's a call girl. They don't seem to be related. The police officer said, I've asked the patrolmen in the nearby area, and they have some impression of the victim. They said she often hung around here, so this is probably her place of work. Officer Ma thought for a while and said, Gu Yao shouldn't be the only one who answered the call. Ask a few people to see if anyone knows her. Also, inform the families of the deceased as soon as possible. Shimin, where are you going? Shimin Ka walked out and said indifferently, I've checked here. I'll go outside and contact you later. If I find anything, I'll inform you immediately. Sir Ma thought for a while. Wait a minute. Shimin Ka frowned, puzzled. Sir Ma suddenly said, Take little Luo with you, and let him learn something. Hearing that, little Luo blinked his eyes in surprise, while Shimin Ka showed a thoughtful look, but he didn't say anything, just nodded and said indifferently, Why, are you afraid that I won't follow the rules? Of course not. Sir Ma shook his head. Little Luo is a newcomer, and I want him to learn more. This kid is good, he has potential. Is there a future for a third-level Great Grandmaster in the police force? The director is asking if you're scared. He's the rising star of the police force. He said that he would push little Luo into the limitless martial arts competition this year, and beat up Delu Officer Ma too. Zero had an idea when he saw Xiao Luo beat up Sangkuan and 9 Tattooed Dragon. The headquarters hadn't won the first place in the fighting competition in the 5 districts of Fire Cloud Police Circle for 6 years. Officer Ma continued to look for the pinhole lens tirelessly. The hotel manager was on the verge of tears. Ah, sir, our hotel follows the rules very well. How could we do something like secretly taking pictures of guests? Please don't look for me. If this matter is spread out, I can't do business anymore. I suspect you're doing it, but I don't have evidence. That's it. So I need evidence. The manager continued to cry. A subordinate came to old Ma's side and whispered something to him. You can't find him? Sir Ma was stunned. The officer said helplessly, We found the landlord of Gu Yao's place, but the landlord said that he was traveling in another city and couldn't come back. According to the landlord, Gu Yao doesn't seem to have parents, only a younger brother. Where's her younger brother? He's in Fire Cloud Hospital. The officer said, I heard that he was seriously injured in the extraterritorial battlefield and hasn't woken up yet. A student? Sir Ma's eyes flickered. In a bus stop on a commercial street, Arnold the Shar-Pei was squatting. He seemed to be a little absent-minded as he looked around blankly. Shimin Ka sensed that something was wrong, so she walked over and whispered something to Anua. Seeing little Luo walking over slowly, Shimin Ka frowned. Anua said that the smell suddenly appeared here. This is the source. Little Luo thought for a while. The criminal came here by bus, so the smell suddenly appeared here. Shimin Ka shook her head. Impossible, Anua's sense of smell is very sensitive. Even if it came here by bus, it wouldn't miss the smell along the way. Anua said that the smell suddenly appeared here, so it must be here. Little Luo thought for a while. It sounds like a spirit beast summoned by the art of spirit communication. Shimin Ka was stunned. Little Luo smiled. Summoning, suddenly appearing and then disappearing, just like the art of spirit communication. It's impossible for people to go back and forth from the art of spirit communication. Shimin Ka shook her head. Maybe it's some means to cover the smell. But Anua said that there are many traces of Gu Yao's smell. Maybe we should find a breakthrough from her movements. The criminal didn't meet Gu Yao here. Maybe there's something left in the place where they met. Anua? The Shar-Pei rushed out like an arrow. Anua is so active today. Shimin Ka couldn't help but reveal a fatherly and gratified expression. Wherever he looked, a hair salon entered his eyes. There are many hair salons around here, Officer Luo's words suddenly flashed in his mind. Shimin Ka muttered to himself, the deceased was a call worker. She should have paid a lot of attention to her dressing. Maybe she had more than one hair salon that she was familiar with. After saying that, Shimin Ka subconsciously walked towards the hair salon. Tong Xian took off her sandals tiredly in front of the door of the apartment. She was a little surprised when she saw the shoes at the entrance. When Tong Xian walked into the living room, she saw a girl lying on the sofa. She didn't look very happy. Didn't you say that you were going to play at your classmate's home today? Why are you back so early? Tong Xian approached her sister curiously and asked. Don't mention it. I encountered something bad today. I'm so tired. The girl sighed. Sister, I think we shouldn't eat hot pot tonight. Do you want to cook? Tong Xian said angrily. The girl pretended to be obedient. Sister, you promised Mom and Dad to take good care of me. You were so happy when you wanted me, but after you got me, you pulled my acupoints mercilessly. I'm so pitiful. Tong Xian angrily chopped the girl with her hand. Bitch! Cousin is also a sister. Tong Xian said, I don't have time to talk to you. Order takeout yourself. I've just made an appointment with a model for the audition tomorrow, so I have to finish the plan tonight. Do you need help? The girl's eyes suddenly brightened. I'll serve you as a universal worker. Xia Lily. Tong Xian put her hands on her waist. What? Go and study. Don't always think about working. Tong Xian said in a low voice. I can afford your tuition. Okay. Chapter 2387. Potato chips, soda, instant noodles, sausages, paper towels, small condoms. Do you want anything? In the internet cafe, the waiter's voice passed by. In the private room, Nan Xiaonan suddenly opened the door and ordered a set of instant noodles. The computer in Xin Xing Creation was the original computer in the internet cafe. Lady Nan thought it would be safer to use her own computer to watch the videos. It was too inconvenient to do it in the shop. She didn't know whether to lock the door or not. She didn't know when the servant girl would open the door. The computer in Xin creation was named Xiaojiu. It was a computer that made itself look like a naked woman. As for why it looked like this, it was said that Xiaojiu selected it according to the information in its inventory. Okay. After all, it was a private room in the internet cafe with good soundproofing. Master, there's a result. Miss Nan, who was waiting for her instant noodles, suddenly raised her head. She saw the exposed woman on the screen open her hands and slowly open a bunch of garbled interfaces. Then, she said with a blushing face, "I'm sorry. Fortunately, the soundproofing was good. Can you speak human language?" Lady Nan blinked, mainly because it was too hot for her eyes. In fact, she didn't understand why the products in her Xin creation had all kinds of strange habits. In the past, when she was the original Xin creation, they were all very normal and wouldn't be crooked. According to the analysis, Master, there are traces of editing in the video data you provided. 2 subtle traces of discontinuous frames have been screened out. 2. Nan Xiaonan blinked, 1 head and 1 tail. Sure enough. Can you restore the original video? No. Rubbish. Nan Xiaonan thought for a while and said, "What's the time period of the edited video?" Soon, the relevant time numbers appeared on the screen of Xiaojiu. Nan Xiaonan glanced at it and said directly, "Find all the videos of the same time period from all the data." After giving the order, Nan Xiaonan concentrated on making instant noodles, sausages, and braised eggs. I wonder what's the progress on that lady's side. Before they split up, Red Boy said that he was going to find Qing Hu. Thinking of this, Nan Xiaonan gave a new order. While you're at it, check if there are any reports on Li Jianren abandoning his students and not saving them. The deceased was Wang Badan. She had a feeling that these 2 matters were somehow related. In the hair salon, there was a faint fragrance all around. Shimin Ka and Little Luo were waiting for the person in charge of the hair salon, a director named Tony. "I got it," Shimin Ka suddenly said. Little Luo looked at Shimin Ka curiously. Shimin Ka raised her phone and said casually, "Old Ma sent me a photo of Gu Yao and some background information. He just found it." Shimin Ka handed the phone to Little Luo and let him look at it himself. Because Gu Yao had been arrested twice, it was easy to find her basic information from the database of the police station. The first time she was arrested was half a year ago. Little Luo looked at it carefully. Because it was her first offense, she was detained for 3 days and then released after paying the fine. The second time was 3 months ago in an anti-prostitution operation. She was already a veteran at this time. Shimin Ka recalled the words of Old Ma, so she suddenly asked, "Do you know why she came out to do this?" Little Luo said, "According to the information, she has a younger brother who is in a coma in the hospital. Probably for the medical expenses?" "Almost." Shimin Ka nodded with satisfaction. "Here is her financial situation and monthly bank balance. About half a year ago, Gu Yao was still working in a logistics company. Her salary wasn't high, but it was enough to support her and her brother. Later, her brother was hospitalized, and Gu Yao borrowed a lot of money. She probably had a lot of debts. The first time she was caught was also half a year ago. Calculating the time, it matches. In addition, her younger brother was also a student of Huiyun High School." Little Luo said, "The first victim was also a student of Huiyun High School. Nice touch." Shimin Ka smiled slightly. When she was about to say something, Teacher Tony came. He didn't have the kind of fancy hairstyle that people would expect from hairdressers. Instead, he looked like a mature and steady uncle. He was 36 years old, with a model-like figure. He was the kind of man who could be loved by all women from 18 to 50. It was said that when he was young, Teacher Tony used the nickname Roland to work in a club called Silver Seat, which specialized in female prostitute. Later, he turned over a new leaf and opened this hair salon. "Are you looking for me?" Tony looked at them politely. "Is the service in our salon not good enough?" Shimin-ka just glanced at little Luo. Little Luo was in a meeting, so she took out her work certificate and said seriously, "I have something to ask you. Is it convenient for you?" "I see." Tony was a little surprised after seeing the documents, but he didn't panic. Instead, he nodded slowly and smiled calmly. "Please come to my office. It's quieter and more suitable for talking." Like Tony, his office was tidy and comfortable. At least, it was at the level that Luo Xiaoluo was comfortable with. After entering the office, Shimin-ka glanced at the computer in Tony's office and asked curiously, "What's this?" On the computer screen was some kind of video editing software. On the screen, a man with messy hair was sitting on the chair nervously. "Nothing much. I'm just making some promotional videos and posting them on my shop's website." Tony smiled casually. "It's the kind of comparison between before and after the haircut. This customer has changed a lot. I think it's suitable, so I plan to use it as the material." With that said, Tony turned off the screen and sat in front of the two of them. He said seriously, "How can I help you, police officers?" Old Ma asked Xiaoluo to follow him, which indeed made it more convenient for him. Shimin-ka didn't reveal her identity at this time. She just showed Gu Yao's photo and pushed it in front of Tony. "Have you seen this girl? This is Miss Yao." Tony was surprised. "What happened to her?" "How do you know what happened to her?" Shimin-ka asked suddenly. Tony said, "Officer, you won't ask if there's nothing, right? This person is very calm and composed." Shimin-ka thought to herself, then said directly, "She died today, and she was cruelly killed." "How?" Tony couldn't help but open his mouth, but showed a touch of sadness. He touched the photo on the screen and said sadly, "How can there be such a cruel thing? You have a good relationship with Gu Yao?" Shimin-ka asked indifferently. Tony exhaled slowly. "I treat Miss Yao as my friend. Whenever she's unhappy, she'll share it with me." "Then you should know what Gu Yao does, right?" Shimin-ka asked. Tony nodded. "Miss Yao worked in some bad jobs to treat her brother. But I don't look down on her because of this. On the contrary, I think she's a person worthy of respect. Fellow patients, sympathize with each other." Shimin-ka suddenly sneered. Tony was slightly stunned, then smiled bitterly. "It seems that you already know my past. Of course, it's not something that can't be told to others." Shimin-ka said, "Since she usually talks to you, then do you know if she has offended anyone recently, or if she has encountered any difficulties?" Tony thought for a while and said, "Miss Yao is a good person and she's quite a kind person. But I'm not very clear about her work, and she usually won't talk about it. As for difficulties, her financial situation isn't very good. I heard that it's because there's something wrong with the hospital." "What's the problem?" "She didn't say." Tony shook his head and said, "She has a strong self-esteem, and she rarely accepts help from others. The only thing I can help her with is listening." Shimin-ka said, "Before the accident last night, Gu Yao was spending money in another hair salon. Since you said you have a good relationship with her, why didn't she come to you?" Tony sighed. "Actually, Miss Yao had an appointment yesterday, and I was ready to receive her. But I don't know why she canceled the appointment at the last minute. Maybe she has a business." "How do you know she has a business?" Shimin-ka asked. Tony said with a bit of self-mockery, "Officer, I used to be in this line. Sometimes it's not us who choose the customers, but the customers who choose us. It's not difficult to guess. It's probably an indelible intuition." Shimin-ka nodded, then suddenly looked at little Luo officer and asked, "Do you have any questions?" Little Luo officer thought for a while, then asked slowly, "Mr. Tony, do you think Miss Yao's eyes are beautiful?" Tony was stunned, so was Shimin-ka. This little Luo officer's question was a bit unreasonable, but he vaguely seemed to catch something. Miss Yao's eyes. Tony was absent-minded for a moment, looking at the dignified ID photo on the phone screen, suddenly turning on the computer screen again. After a while, Tony found a video of a hairdo on the computer. He turned the screen to little Luo officer and Shimin Ka, saying softly, "I don't know what is beautiful, but in my opinion, this pair of eyes is full of hope for life." On the screen, the woman had bright eyes and white teeth, shining and moving. Shimin Ka knew that he would remember this pair of eyes for a very, very long time. He suddenly stood up and said, "Thank you very much for your cooperation this time. If you can think of anything else about Gu, about Miss Yao in the future, please contact me by calling this number." He wrote a number on the sticky note. "My name is Shimin Ka." "Sure." Tony nodded. "I also hope you can catch the murderer as soon as possible." "Why the eyes?" After leaving the salon, Shimin Ka suddenly looked at little Luo officer and asked, "Because Gu Yao's eyes were cut off, so you deliberately mentioned it in front of Tony?" But the reason given by little Luo officer made Shimin Ka feel inconceivable. "When we found Miss Yao, her eyes had been cut off and embedded in the palm." Little Luo officer shook his head. "At that time, it was already very murky, so I was more curious about what they originally looked like." "What?" Shimin Ka scratched her hair with a confused look. "The young man that old Ma sent this time seems to be taking the path of romanticism?" Later, Sharpei Anua came back and brought back the location where the two smells of Gu Yao and the criminal met. Little Luo officer and Shimin Ka quickly found the place where they met. Unfortunately, there was no police around, and it was not a parking spot. After walking around, they didn't find any passers-by who had an impression of this. It seemed to be a very simple encounter on the street. Old Ma checked the communication records of Gu Yao's mobile phone. Guess what he found? Shimin Ka suddenly said. "A new clue?" Shimin Ka shrugged his shoulders and said, "There is a chat record between Gu Yao and that hairstylist who did her hair yesterday. It turned out that yesterday, Gu Yao didn't go to get a haircut. She really went to do business. It's just that the customer she served just happened to be that hairstylist. There is also a record of the money transfer. That guy later on also admitted it." Little Luo officer said, "But the man in the hotel was not the hairstylist." "Yes." Shimin Ka nodded. "That is to say, after Gu Yao left the hairdresser's house, she immediately had business again. And the new business didn't have an appointment record. For Gu Yao, it was a sudden business." Little Luo officer said, "The criminal deliberately came to Miss Yao." At this moment, Shimin Ka narrowed her eyes. Looking at the busy street, she muttered to herself, "Perhaps he is standing there, silently waiting for the appearance of the prey. He knows that she is in urgent need of money, so he will definitely accept the business. Therefore, when she appeared, he didn't hesitate to take action. So, this was a premeditated crime? What kind of person would know about Gu Yao's background and her predicament? Tony? No, he is too obvious. And the smell left at the scene doesn't match." Little Luo officer said, "Her friends, her relatives, the hospital's doctors, nurses, and even her younger brother's classmates and friends. There are many of them." Shimin Ka smiled faintly. "At least, the range is narrowed, right? Young man, you have a lot of potential. Are you interested in working for me? There is no future for you to follow old Ma." Little Luo officer shook his head. "Working on a case was my childhood dream. It can't be helped." Shimin Ka smiled. "After all, things like dreams can't be exchanged. Let's go to the hospital to have a look." Woof, woof, woof. The Sharpei dog Arnold suddenly barked twice. Shimin Ka couldn't help but frown. Because he could understand, the meaning of these two barks was, "Big trash Shimin, why don't you let me go back to the spirit beast world? I have an appointment with Mimi to have a bone feast tonight. You want to go back to pick up girls, why are you acting like a coward?" Shimin Ka rolled his eyes and waved his hand. Arnold disappeared on the spot. Who is it?" Wang Baiwan opened the door with a haggard face. but he saw an impatient girl standing in front of the door. His face changed slightly. Miss Red Child, where is Ching Hu? Red Child said blankly at this time, is he here? I heard that he came here to report to you. Where is he? I have something to talk to him about. With that said, Red Child didn't care about Wang Baiwan and walked directly to the entrance. Change. Wang Baiwan opened his mouth and finally sighed, shoes? Chapter 2388. Although it was the principal's house of Huiyun High School, it was not a luxurious house. Red Sea easily saw Mr. Ching Hu's figure in the living room. He was sitting on the sofa with a document in his hand. As for the coffee table, it was full of documents. Wang Baiwan and Ching Hu were working here before she arrived. Seeing that it was Red Boy who entered the door, Mr. Ching Hu's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. He quickly stood up and greeted, Miss Red Boy, why are you here? Ba Dan is my friend. Red Boy said calmly, she had an accident and I am very sad, so I took the time to come and see her today. I also want to comfort her family. These words were heard by Wang Baiwan, who followed behind. He said with a slightly grateful tone, it is Ba Dan's blessing to have a friend like Miss Red Boy. It is a pity that her luck is too thin, and she can't bear it. Wang Baiwan, from what you're saying, I killed Ba Dan? Red Boy suddenly said. In the living room, Ching Hu and Wang Baiwan were stunned on the spot. The atmosphere was so anxious that it was suffocating. They all knew that this was a capricious and unreasonable young lady, but how should they answer this? I definitely don't mean that. Wang Baiwan shook his head. Red Boy said directly, that night I asked her to come out and accompany me. If I didn't let her go out, she might not have encountered this kind of thing. Don't you think so? Wang Baiwan opened his mouth, and his face was slightly ugly. At this moment, there was the sound of the door opening. It was the sound of the room door inside. Wang Jufu looked even more haggard as he walked out slowly. He was holding a beautiful woman beside him. The beautiful woman's face was very pale, and there were tears on her face. This beautiful woman was Wang Badan's mother. The beautiful woman said sadly at this time, Red Boy, you are here, Auntie? Red Boy called out softly and walked in front of the beautiful woman. He whispered, I'm sorry about Ba Dan. The beautiful woman shook her head sadly at this time, you are so considerate. You sit down first, I will make tea for you. You are welcome. Red Boy shook her head. The beautiful woman said, I'll be back soon. Take a seat first. Just play here like you always do. Sit, okay? Red Boy saw Wang Jufu's almost pleading eyes at this time and nodded in agreement. The beautiful woman then walked in quickly. I'll go take a look at her. Wang Jufu sighed. She can't calm down now. After being disturbed by Wang Jufu and his wife, the atmosphere was not as tense as it was at the beginning. Wang Baiwan sighed quietly at this time. Miss Red Boy, Ching Hu is here. Why are you looking for him? Looking for me? Ching Hu looked at him in confusion. Red Boy said indifferently, it's about the team. One of my team members is no longer around, and the team is short of people. The upcoming ranking competition will be very disadvantageous for the team, so I plan to ask you for some information on the students to replenish the team members. Well, Mr. Ching Hu glanced at Wang Bai subconsciously. Wang Baiwan's expression instantly turned ugly. Wang Badan's body hadn't even turned cold, but Red Boy was thinking about the matter of the team's substitute. This naturally made him feel cold. But Wang Baiwan's face only darkened, and he didn't say anything. Mr. Ching Hu deliberated and said, About this, Miss Red Boy, do you have anyone in mind? No. Red Boy said indifferently, That's why I'm looking for you. Do you have anyone you can recommend? Ching Hu thought for a while and said, Miss Red Boy, you are very familiar with the matter of the extraterritorial battlefield. As for the strength of the senior teams, you should know more than me. I want a new student to join the team this time. Red Boy said indifferently, The senior teams have already formed, and they are even used to the playing style of their respective teams. Temporary substitutes may not be able to adapt. A new student is better. I'd rather spend some time to train than have a person whose potential has already been seen. You guys talk first, I'll go to the room to make a call. Wang Baiwan suddenly stood up and said. He didn't seem to want to listen anymore. Red Boy just nodded casually. Wang Baiwan suppressed his anger and left. After he left, Mr. Qing who suddenly smiled bitterly and sighed. Miss Red Boy, please tell me your purpose of coming, otherwise I really can't cooperate with you. Why do you say that? Red Boy asked curiously. Qing who said, as far as I know, your relationship with your teammates is not weak. I believe that Miss Red Boy is not the kind of person who is anxious to find a substitute when a teammate just died. Why did you deliberately make Principal Wang unable to listen? Is there something that you can't tell me in front of him? Red Boy didn't waste time. She stared into Qing Hu's eyes and said directly, why did you steal Gao Yang's information in the archives? This was like a cold arrow that was impossible to guard against. This Miss of Huiyun City was not good at studying, but she was definitely good at fighting. She knew how to gain the upper hand by a show of strength and surprise people. However, Qing Hu's expression didn't change. He even showed a puzzled expression. He frowned and said, I stole Gao Yang's information? Miss Red Boy, why do you say that? You still won't admit it? Red Boy sneered. If I didn't have evidence, do you think I would come to you? Qing Hu smiled bitterly and shook his head. Although I don't know what your so-called evidence is, if it's something I didn't do, how do you want me to admit it? Red Boy's eyes suddenly glowed with a demonic light and murderous aura. Teacher Qing Hu, do you know that if I want to kill someone in Huiyun City, it's no different from stepping on an ant? Even if I take your head and leave now, Wang Baiwan won't dare to make a sound. The temperature in the living room instantly rose by a few degrees. Teacher Qing Hu's gaze gradually changed. The foxtail behind him slightly raised. What happened? Wang Baiwan stopped in front of the pantry and looked in with a bewildered expression. In the pantry, a cup shattered on the ground. Wang Jufu sat on the ground, hugging his sobbing wife. He was anxious about what had happened and quickly walked into the pantry. He heard Wang Jufu say with a pale face, Father, she poisoned the tea. What? Wang Baiwan suddenly gasped. How can she be so stupid? She killed Dan. If it wasn't for her, Dan wouldn't have gone out. It's her. The woman cried in Wang Jufu's arms. I want to kill her. She's crazy. Lock her up. Wang Baiwan's voice couldn't help but tremble. If Red Boy was poisoned to death, the entire Wang clan wouldn't be able to live until tomorrow. Lock her up, he screamed. I don't know Gao Yang. In the scorching temperature, Teacher Qing Hu's voice slowly sounded. His eyes calmly met Red Boy's gaze. Although I knew there was such a teacher, I only knew about it later. Red Boy frowned slightly. Qing Hu said, I entered Huiyun High after teacher Gao Yang left. If Miss Red Boy doesn't believe me, you can check my entry record. The temperature didn't drop. Instead, it rose to the extreme. The heat wave made Qing Hu's fair-skinned face turn red, but the sound of footsteps was already heard. Red Boy retracted the heat and the temperature in the living room instantly returned to normal. She sat there with an expressionless face. Teacher Qing Hu couldn't help but be surprised by the strength of this Miss Huiyun. Her ability to control herself had far surpassed the level of high school students. Wang Jufu and Wang Baiwan came back together, but they didn't see the beautiful woman. Miss Red Boy, please have some tea. Wang Jufu was the one who served the tea. His face was slightly pale. No need, I'll leave soon. Red Boy suddenly stood up and said, I still have something to do, so I won't stay. Help me tell Auntie that I'll visit her again when I'm free. I'll send you off. Wang Jufu seemed to be relieved. In front of the door, Red Boy glanced at Wang Jufu. She seemed to want to say something but stopped. In the end, she didn't say anything. Wang Jiufu suddenly stopped her. Miss Red Boy, there's something I want to tell you. It's about Ba Dan. She couldn't help but stop and show a concerned expression. Wang Jiufu took out a piece of paper and handed it to Red Boy. This is the address of the cake shop. Ba Dan seems to have ordered a cake. The date of withdrawal is today. Do you know why she ordered a cake? We only knew about it when the cake shop's staff called today. Today? Red Boy frowned subconsciously. Do you know something? Wang Jiufu asked subconsciously. I don't know, I just find it strange. Red Boy shook her head calmly. However, this address is on the way. I'll go and take a look. I'll inform you if there's any news. It's not convenient for you to go out and deal with such a small matter now. Thank you. Wang Jiufu nodded. You don't have to send me off. Then, I'll leave too, Principal. When Wang Jiufu came back, he saw that Qing who had packed up and was about to leave. The two nodded slightly and said goodbye. Qing who left Wang Baiwan's house. Wang Jiufu sat down with a tired face. Wang Baiwan was smoking a pipe on the sofa at this time. His face was gloomy. Suddenly, Wang Baiwan looked at his son and said, You send my wife back to her hometown to rest tonight. It's not good to let her stay here. I'm afraid something will happen. Dad, this is not good, right? I will keep an eye on her these days and won't let her go out. Wang Baiwan said blankly, There's no such thing as good or bad. If something really goes wrong, she may lose her life. You also saw what she wanted to do just now. I can't let her harm the entire Wang family alone. I know. She sat at a table near the street and stared at the pedestrians in a daze. At the same time, she gently used something to smear her palm. When the burning sensation in her palm gradually disappeared, the trace of unnaturalness between her eyebrows slowly melted away. Red Boy slowly screwed up the box of burning ointment. Unknowingly, she had used up almost 1/3 of it. The amount in this box seemed to be only enough to last a few days. Since he had tried the effect of the ointment, Red Boy had never thrown it away. It was almost as if he always carried it with him. She was very satisfied with the effect of this ointment, but she was not satisfied with the attitude of the school doctor who gave it to her. This made her very unhappy. She always felt like she owed him something. She kept using it, owing him, and was always unhappy, so angry. Miss, this is the cake your friend ordered. The clerk of the cake shop came over with a delicately packaged box at this time. It has been written according to Miss Wang's request. Do you want to check it? It's okay, Red Boy said faintly. Anyway, no matter how well it is written, the person who wants to write and the person who wants to read can't see it. First People's Hospital of Huayun City. In front of an independent ward. The one inside is Guze? Shimin Ka lowered her head slightly and looked inside through the gap of the blinds. In the independent ward, she saw a young man of 17 or 18 years old lying motionlessly with breathing equipment. In the room, there were many paper cranes and cloth dolls hanging. So girly. Shimin Ka couldn't help rubbing her chin. This is done by the patient's sister and girlfriend. It was a pretty nurse who answered Shimin Ka. They will come over when they are free. After a long time, they decorated this place like this. Oh, I didn't expect Miss Yao to be so young. Officer, you must catch the murderer as soon as possible. Are you familiar with Gu Yao? Shimin Ka suddenly asked. The nurse said, Miss Yao insists on coming here every weekend, no matter what happens. After a long time, everyone knows her. She often cooks something for us to eat. I want to see the visiting record of Gu Zhe. Shimin Ka nodded and said. The nurse said, Please follow me, the information is at the front desk. Shimin Ka nodded and patted Officer Luo's shoulder, saying in a low voice, You stay here and keep an eye on this place. See if there are any suspicious people passing by here. Call me if anything happens. Little Luo gave an understanding look. Shimin Ka casually put her hand on the nurse's shoulder and asked eagerly, Is the work here very tiring? Do you have time to rest? How often can you rest? The window in the ward was slightly open. When the wind blew in, it blew the strings of paper cranes hanging, as if they were dancing. Little Luo picked up a paper crane from the bedside table and put it in his palm. In the room, there was only the regular sound of the ventilator. "Who are you?" At the moment when the door of the independent ward was opened, a vigilant voice sounded at the same time. He turned around and calmly looked. What he saw was a young girl wearing a tight black leather jacket with a face full of surprise. Red Boy. Red Boy was holding a cake box in her hand and a bouquet of flowers in her arms. "You? How come you are here?" When she saw the man in the ward clearly, Red Boy showed an incredible look. "What a coincidence!